schooling in Rashtriya Military School, Bangalore, and he has passed out from Indian Military Academy in June 1985. Yash, you are online?
Yeah, SK, I'm online. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, yeah, I'm there.
And he has represented United Nations in a peace as a peacekeeper in Mozambique, and from 1993 to 94. He has been a graduate of Defense Services Staff College, Wellington, and also from a prestigious. He was in the competitive vacancy, and he has been also alumni of Command and General Staff College, Dhaka, Bangladesh. And during his staff college there, he has won the General Usmani Trophy for best dissertation on the course. And he has been also alumni of prestigious College of Air Warfare, and having completed his higher air command course. And he has done his MSc in Defense Strategic Studies from Madras University, and Master in Defense Studies from National University, Dhaka, Bangladesh, and subsequently MPhil and PhD from Osmania University, Hyderabad. His PhD was on field of nuclear doctrine and strategy, and not only he has been very good and excellent in academics, but as a soldier he has got a very long experience of fighting terrorism in Punjab and J&K both. He was awarded Sena Medal and Army Chief Commendation Card for gallantry during counter-terrorist operation in South Kashmir. In fact, he has been known as a tiger in South Kashmir in RR in Rashtriya Rifles, and he is known in the army for small team unconventional operations. That is his style of doing operations at a small team level. And his tenure in 36 RR as the senior most company commander is a very memorable one, and he has achieved lot of moral ascendancy not only in the along the line of control but also in the J&K Valley. Over and above this, he is an alumnus of NASA Center, Washington DC, and it is a prestigious US think tank on strategic affairs. And quite often he has been invited to various countries. He has traveled to Africa, Europe, United States on leadership and motivations. He has commanded one of the oldest battalion, First Guard, an independent armored brigade. He had been in a competitive vacancy, and he commanded independent armored brigade, and he has been also as a directing staff in staff college. He has been a general officer commanding of a very important administrative headquarters in Ladakh. And before superannuating in September 20, he was chief of staff of a corps in desert sector. And he's also the CEO of Save the Himalayas Foundation. It's an NGO dedicated to preserving the fragile ecology of the Himalayan region. And more so, in the end, I will conclude that post superannuating, he has done a lot of motivation to the young guys, and his motto and the quote is second innings for the first innings. And he has got almost 4.5 million subscriber on the platform. And as far as his social responsibility is concerned, after his superannuation, he is deeply involved in the social upliftment, not only of the young generation, but over and above the masses. He has been a motivator. He has been a TEDx speaker. And why I decided to include him in his talk, because he's one of the best in the Indian Army, a think tank, like you have heard General Hari Mohan Iyer yesterday. And so his profile is also very sparkling and very meritorious as far as the Indian Army is concerned. Over to you, Yash.
Thank you, SK. Thank you so much. You covered so much of ground, and it's quite embarrassing to hear your own achievements, or these are it just happens in life. कभी सोचा नहीं था ये सब होगा, ये हो गया काफी कुछ लाइफ में. And it's post retirement that I feel the real life has started, when you are free and you are able to communicate and speak, write and speak on this. So I'll start from the currently, I'm teaching lakhs of students on YouTube, on Zoom. So I'm fully an educator now. I'm fully educator. I was there with Unacademy for a year and a half as a top educator, but due to the commercial nature of this online platform, I said nothing doing. Let me be on my own. And now I'm mentoring a lot of boys and girls across India, especially rural area, to become officers in the armed forces of India, in the paramilitary forces, UPSC. So I'm teaching them current affairs, personality development, communication skills, geostrategic issues. And I do a lot of podcasts with people so that this passion can translate to young boys and girls across India. And I keep writing. Writing is my hobby, my passion. And of course, busy with the Save the Himalayas Foundation. I'm deeply attached to Ladakh, where I keep visiting, and on responsible tourism or sustainable tourism, on environment, and save the white tiger, snow leopard, and these kind of campaigns I do with WWF and whatever comes my way, because I'm basically an outdoor guy, cycling, trekking, all this. But today I'm so happy to speak to the DIGs of BSF. I've had amazing time with BSF officers. I hold BSF in very high esteem. Starting from Punch in 1987 to 1990, where we had one infantry battalion, one BSF battalion in our brigade, 93 Brigade. I think it's still there. So I remember that time. I was a lieutenant that time. It was in Sojia, and through that I had done a trek to Gulmarg in peak winters. And I had a BSF team with me, and inspector and about 5 other Jawans of BSF also as part of my patrol to go from Punch to Gulmarg. So Khalsa 1, Khalsa 2, all those posts. I've been with the BSF officers and soldiers there. Then I got chance to serve with BSF when I was commanding my brigade in Amritsar, very closely on int sharing and other things. I interacted with senior authorities in the BSF headquarters in Jalandhar. And then, of course, in Kashmir, South Kashmir, which SK was speaking of, when I was in 36 RR, I happened to be very senior, almost, army promotions, very slow, very lethargic. By the time I became a colonel, I had 20 years service, 20 years. And I was in RR with 18 years. So one very fine incident was when I was a major in UN peacekeeping operations. We had an IPS officer, who was also, Siv Paul also came in. So I took care of them for first 15 days. In fact, I gave my house to the police officers when I left Mozambique. And I remained a major all these years, and he was IGP or DGP J&K police. He landed in the helicopter and he saw my ribbon. He says, "Sir, up." So he looked at my rank. He thought I'm superseded. I said, "No, I'm not superseded. I'm still in the running in the army. Promotions are delayed. I was still a major. Then, of course, I got my next rank. I went to Bangladesh for 1 year, then came back in India, commanded my unit, but I retained this fascination of engaging our paramilitary forces, whether it was in Rajasthan, Gujarat, wherever I went for a lot of studies and all that. So pehli baat to ye ki I just love your structure and the passion of your boys, especially in RR. We did some amazing work with 77 BSF was there. Mr. Tyagi was the commandant. एंड बहुत हम ऑपरेशन करते थे साथ में, और एकदम ना मिलजुल के काम करते थे. कभी हमने महसूस नहीं होने दिया कि देयर इज नो वन अपमैनशिप. रियली वी वर्कड इन ग्रेट स्पिरिट. ऑल योर DGPs and DG BSF and all used to come. तो वो lunch में I was always a permanent invitee. That's the kind of bonhomie. They also looked up कि सर आएंगे तो 2-4 अच्छी बात करेंगे DG वगैरह से साथ, तो he'll be able to steer the issue and put senior people at ease, So that's how it has been. And recently, I've been giving talks in army and other forums on military leadership. Challenges क्या है हमारे आगे? तो मैं बहुत young generation के साथ touch में रहता हूँ. Not only young officers who already commissioned, because I've been an instructor, and somehow they remain in touch with me. They meet me in various places. But having retired at that level, so मुझे senior leadership की सोच भी पता है. Then I keep seeing what is happening in Punch, Rajouri, एज फार इंसर्जेंसी इज कंसर्न, वैली की क्या सिचुएशन है, चाइना के साथ क्या सिचुएशन है हमारी गलवान में, और बिकॉज आई वाज जीओसी इन लद्दाख just before the situation came up, I went to Jodhpur on my last leg posting. उससे पहले I commanded my unit in Eastern Ladakh, exactly the same place जहाँ पे चाइना के साथ ये हुआ है. तो that is where I commanded my unit. Those days we had one mechanized infantry unit in entire Ladakh. I was a CO under 3 Div. Up to we have a independent armored brigade, more than an armored brigade. I think we have almost 2 brigade worth of tanks and infantry combat vehicles in Eastern Ladakh. So somewhere recently I was in the National Institute of Advanced Studies. There also I was speaking on military leadership and what are the challenges for us. तो थोड़ी सी मैं उसकी बात करूंगा. Then I would want more of Q&A. Whatever you can get out of me in this session, since you have invited me, I'd love to exchange very freely, very candidly. Chatham rules. We must be very frank with each other. We should be able to accept where the flaws are, what we need to improve, because finally we are all working towards one goal, that is a strong and self-reliant India. That goes without saying. Governments आएंगी जाएंगी, but you and me in the service must remain committed to our nation, and that commitment is doesn't depend on what is the political ideology going on in the country. So irrespective of that, so that is why we need to discuss these issues so that we are better prepared as we go along. So a few talking points initially is that BSF almost military culture has changed a little bit, I'm sure, because you're a Home Ministry force. But by and large, initially it was all the military leaders, COs, and senior leadership was all under the army. So you still have a lot of brigadiers you take everywhere. A lot of officers come to BSF, and we do a lot of courses. And I see a lot of cross attachment also taking place these days of BSF officers with infantry units and all, which is a very good thing. We need to work together. So all of us have certain British ethos and certain traditions. तो ये हमारी forces की कुछ ना कुछ baggage भी होता है, कुछ अच्छी चीजें भी हैं which have come as part of. So our transformation from British system to Indian culture, Indian system has been very gradual, very, very gradual. A lot of people keep saying colonial mindset हटा दो, फलाना हटा दो, ये change कर दो, वो change को. मैं भी सब देखता हूँ. I'm from the oldest battalion of Indian Army. तो आप सोचो मेरी यूनिट में 250 साल पुराना इतिहास है. The history of British Army is my unit's history. It is that rich. और हमारे कभी मेस में जाओगे आज, इनफैक्ट आज मेरी यूनिट का बैटल ऑनर डे, टुडे 6 फरवरी, टुडे इज बैटल ऑफ नौशेरा, एंड ऑल्सो शहादत ऑफ ब्रिगेडियर उस्मान, महावीर चक्र, आज उनकी शहादत का दिन भी है. तो मेरे लिए बहुत वो है, इमोशनल डे है आज, बिकॉज 47-48 दिस डे वी कैप्चर्ड फोर्ट, रामगढ़ फोर्ट, झंगड़, नौशेरा, एंड ब्रिगेडियर उस्मान को ये ऑप्शन दिया गया था कि आप पाकिस्तान ज्वाइन कर लो. ही वुड बी द चीफ, ही वुड हैव बीन चीफ इन पाकिस्तान आर्मी. से नहीं यार, मैं तो भारत में पैदा हुआ, मेरी जन्मभूमि है, व्हाई शुड आई गो टू पाकिस्तान. एंड he was a very meticulous officer. We still have in our unit records the order of the day and other instructions, battle orders passed by Brigadier Usman in 47-48, because my unit was under him. तो उन्होंने कसम खाई थी कि यार जब तक मैं ये कैप्चर नहीं करूंगा मैं चारपाई पे नहीं सोऊंगा. ब्रिगेडियर इज अ वेरी सीनियर रैंक. उस टाइम तो आप सोचो बहुत बड़ा रैंक था 47-48 में तो, बट ही रिफ्यूज टू स्लीप ऑन अ चारपाई. ही सेज मैं चारपाई पे तब सोऊंगा जब मैं कैप्चर करूंगा. इज टू स्लीप ऑन अ मैट. वो नीचे चटाई पे सोते थे एज अ ब्रिगेड कमांडर. एंड ही ऑफ कोर्स we were able to capture a lot of territory in this area, and unfortunately in an artillery shelling he sacrificed his life. And ये जामिया मिलिया में उनकी कब्र है. और अगर फोटो देखो जब उनकी बॉडी लाई गई दिल्ली में, तो यू विल सी द एंटायर कैबिनेट ऑफ इंडिया स्टैंडिंग. और तब कोई तामझाम नहीं होता था कि जी ऐसी एनएसजी आ गई, एसएसजी, कुछ नहीं होता था. यू कैन सी पंडित नेहरू स्टैंडिंग एंड पूरी कैबिनेट खड़ी है साथ में, सबकी आंखों में आंसू. ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट पिक्चर वो उनकी वहां पे. So today is that day, 6th February, very, very historical day in our life today. So हमने बड़ा change हुआ है. 47-48 country got independence. We were fighting war. We were very poor country, no resources at all, no resources. Then people keep saying all kinds of nonsense. 47, but it was a good decision. We made link up in Punch. अगर Punch link up नहीं होता, हम वहीं लाला करके चलते रहते, तो ये एरिया जो है पुंछ, राजौरी, झांगड़, ये एरिया कट ऑफ हो जाता, शायद हम कभी कैप्चर नहीं कर पाते. सो जो भी उस टाइम मिलिट्री एडवाइस दी प्राइम मिनिस्टर को, वो सही एडवाइस थी कि लेट्स लिंक अप उड़ी एंड पुंछ, विच हैपेंड ऑन 20th November 1948. तो उस टाइम की सोच को लेके I think whatever leadership we had, I think they did a great job. They did a fabulous job. 47, 48 operations. Today it's easy to pick holes. Same as 62, 65, 71. Of course, Kargil, इस साल 25 साल होने वाले हैं कारगिल के. I've done a lot of podcasts on Kargil. I was serving in the army at that time. I have been to Kargil many times. There are many flaws in our national security policy which came glaring in Kargil. Then we had the Kargil Review Committee report, which I've read many times. Then I was in perspective planning, that was on my table. The progress on integration of 3 services, Army, Navy, Air Force, integration of intelligence agencies. And that is when, based on that review committee report, ये decide हुआ कि 1 border, 1 force. तो जो आपका होल्ड था वैली के अंदर BSF का, where I was operating, and they were doing a fabulous job. आपकी units and your G branch in Srinagar, you had such a control. And many times used to pick up people from Srinagar, these jihadis and all. And then overnight it came ki now you go back to borders and CRPF will become the main counter-insurgency force. तो वो change भी मैंने देखा, and we were saying यार क्यों कर रहे हो, ये units इतने दिनों से हैं, इनको सारा system पता है, इनका intelligence इतना अच्छा है. तो बहुत एक टाइम लगता है इंसर्जेंसी एरिया में. देन मैंने पंजाब इंसर्जेंसी में मैं फोरफ्रंट पे था, तरन तारन, पट्टी, हरीके, भिखीविंड, 91, 92. I was a young company commander, and I remember clearly like a film on the kind of operations we did in the hotbed of militancy. Again, good cooperation from Punjab Police, KPS Gill, and BSF units and all. तो लगा नहीं कभी कि हम कोई अलग फोर्स. तो ये हमारी जर्नी जो है देश की 47 से लेके यहाँ तक, it has had its up and downs, but I think by and large we have stuck together. So we must kudos to us, our leadership at various times. अब क्या है, now what I see कि young generation is coming. I have a lot of faith in young generation, whichever way they come. They have a lot of passion. They are born in different times, different kinds. So हमारी उनकी थोड़ी सी, you will find there is a difference in how we see things. There's a huge impact of social media, and that is in many ways quite negative. So a lot of ideologies are hardening up. जब आप और मैं, हम जो young officers थे, we were not carrying any baggage. We would easily make friends. We never saw इसका रिलीजन क्या है, इसकी कास्ट क्या है, इसकी क्रीड क्या है. हमारे मैसेज का कल्चर वही था, दारू पीनी है पियो, नहीं तो मत पियो. कोई ये नहीं था कि आज मंगलवार हो गया, अब नवरात्रे आ गए, अब फलाना दिन आ गया. ये सब नहीं था. We were grown in a absolutely truly secular environment. That is what we were growing. But now you see there is inroad of right wing into the forces very strongly. It is coming, and I can see it. I can see in the language and the kind of this. तो बच्चे भी आ रहे हैं और वो political ideology भी कहीं ना कहीं, जिससे कि हमें we will have to be aware of that. We should be aware impact of social media and what is happening in the society. तो वो भी है. Military has always been in the forefront of in our nation and otherwise in innovation, in technology. We were always in forefront. But today I think we have taken a back seat on these things. Innovation also, we are a little behind. I think we should be more innovative. Our body language has changed. Our body language has changed. Certainly it has changed. The political supremacy is now complete, which was not there earlier. पहले फिर भी एक, you see 71 की pictures, 71 war की आप pictures देख लो. Not that Sam Manekshaw को हम बहुत idolize कर रहे हैं, but उसके बाद के भी आप pictures देखो. लाल बहादुर शास्त्री की 65 वॉर के बाद pictures देखो फ्रंट पे. बाबू जगजीवन राम गए हुए हैं कहीं पे. स्वर्ण सिंह हमारे, अब जॉर्ज फर्नांडिस की पिक्चर्स देखो मिलिट्री के साथ एज डिफेंस मिनिस्टर. बहुत एक कॉमन प्लेटफॉर्म पे आपको नजर आएगा. कारगिल के टाइम पे भी आप, बट नाउ द बॉडी लैंग्वेज एंड ऑल इज totally changed. So this is the reality, harsh reality of India that I am seeing. So we have to as military advisors, whether you are in BSF and we are the CRPF or you are in any this thing, we are the ones who are advising the political leadership. So for that we need to be educated, we need to be professionally very sound, we need to be physically absolutely fit, and very, very high level of personal integrity. If you and me fall prey to extensions, IS can do it. Many other people are doing it. कि यार 1 साल extension, 2 साल extension, stick around with somebody. But you and me can't afford to do that because our juniors are watching us. So tomorrow when we leave the service, कोई होगा नहीं हमें राम राम कहने वाला. Because if we stick to a chair or a position and keep, so hum is cheez se we must serve with pride and say thank you the day it's over, saying thank you, and then contribute back. So remain apolitical, totally apolitical. We must encourage this kind of thing among our other ranks also. And also the secular fabric is very important. More important for you all also, because you deal with public so much. Elections में जाते हो, कहीं riots होते हैं उसमें जाते हो, and आपके you are mixed. हमारे यहाँ issue भी है, दोनों चीजें हैं. Caste based units अभी भी चल रही हैं, unfortunately. But in your case, you are absolutely mixed from section upwards. So military में काफी अभी आने वाला time में होने वाला, we are going to have theater commands. We are getting a lot of weapon systems. We are working on technology. Self-reliance पे बहुत बात होती है. कितना हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है, we can discuss in Q&A. What is the way forward? So internal dynamics, Manipur is burning. Nobody talks of it, unfortunately. I have done few interviews on Manipur. Situation is very precarious. You are all aware. वहाँ पे क्या है? First time I am seeing there are question marks on Assam rifles. There are question marks on the use of military and the use of advisors and kya hai. To Manipur makes it, and the kind of blowback I am seeing of this, ठीक है अभी जो polarization जो country में कहीं पर भी कभी भी 2 minute लगते हैं हमारे देश में riots होने में कुछ, it can happen anytime, anywhere. So you and me have to be very well aware of the internal dynamics of India. And while we are aiming to be a very big economy, we will be a Viksit Bharat, Amrit Kal, all this looks very nice. But anything happening, now we have to face, we don't have a census, we are going to have delimitation. The north and south divide is now coming out in the open. The disparity in population growth, disparity in economic growth. Education, you are aware what is happening to our education. There are no jobs. Jobs are, even IITs are not getting jobs. So job market is drying up. Agniveer, Agnipath scheme, I'm a vocal critic of this scheme. We can discuss this scheme if you have any questions on that. So ये सब चीजें देखते हुए, as the leaders of a very, very important organization, BSF, you have to be aware of social milieu, the kind of people you are getting, the kind of political narrative you are having to face, and the narrative. External, we are okay. I don't think we have any external threat. मुझे भी external threat zero लगता है. Pakistan not capable of attacking us. It going downhill, but don't never underestimate the Pakistan army. It will give you a bloody battle there. ये शक में मत रहना, POK ले लेंगे, फलाना ले लेंगे, सब कहने वाली बातें हैं. ठीक है? So Pakistan, but it's no position to wage a war. It's no position to wage a war. No way. China will wait and watch. China is a different nation. They are looking at challenging America. हम उनके लिए बहुत junior player हैं. The way the gap is increasing day by day in their modernization, in technology, in economy, every sphere, they are miles and miles ahead of us. We must recognize this. So I don't see an external threat. We must do friends with our neighborhood. Kahin na kahin, we must have to reduce between these two countries, at least tension on one border, we must reduce. This must be a national agenda. Because you can't have forces strung along all the way from Gujarat se leke Arunachal Pradesh tak pure border pe. It's draining our resources. Then, so I don't see in the high seas again. I don't see we need a good navy. Absolutely, we need 2 aircraft carriers. Yes, we may need third one also. The battles will be fought in the trade zone, on the sea lines of communication. एक Red Sea में चप्पल पे चलने वाले हुतीज ने क्या हाल कर दिया है शिपिंग इंडस्ट्री का, आप देख सकते हो. अमेरिका इनको घुटने पे लेके आएंगे ये शिपिंग इंडस्ट्री को. You just see what they can do. So non-state actors and this jihadi forces. So we have to ensure that our own people. तो यहाँ पे हम अगर अपने देश में अगर हम एक सौहार्द बना के रखेंगे, if we have well-being of everyone, this kind of thing, then we must ensure that internally we remain strong. Internally, India must remain strong. External factors, मुझे कोई लगता नहीं कोई challenges हैं हमारे लिए at the moment. It is internal which internal policies, we are talking of uniform civil code, many other big things are going to happen. So how do we, these are going to be the challenges which, you will be facing and the coming generations will be facing. So ये कुछ चीजें थी, थोड़ा शेयर विद यू. टू फ्रंट वॉर की हम बात करते हैं, अनसेटल्ड बॉर्डर्स हैं हमारे, एब्सोल्युटली. सो वी मस्ट ट्राई एंड सेटल द बॉर्डर्स with these countries, one of them at least with China, at least sector by sector we must settle. I've written on this many times कि बात करो Chinese PLA के साथ and try to diffuse the situation in eastern Ladakh and other places by give and take. So but innovation will continue, military technology, new organizations will have to be created. We cannot be stuck with old way of fighting that is gone. So even the military has to be very, very amenable to changes in their organization, in the rank structure, in recruitment, many things. And we are downsizing the military in a major way. With this Agniveer scheme, almost 2 lakh, 1.5 to 2 lakh army is already slashed in one stroke. So we are going to have a leaner military with more capabilities. और ये होना भी चाहिए. We need capabilities in air domain, we need capabilities in the naval domain, and we need capabilities in the ISR domain, that is intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. ये बहुत जरूरी है. Every time we have been surprised by the enemy, whether it's Kargil or China or anywhere else. So we need to look 200, 300 kilometers deep into enemy territories. We need to have, so those are the ways where the army is now looking at bringing better technology, better training, and better organizations to face the challenges of the future. So thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm ready for your questions and whatever.
Yes,
discuss.
Yes, if you can cover the strategic human resource management for them, handling team ranges, battalions, and cases of fratricides and suicides, and this is the challenges that the BSF is facing. So if you can kindly cover on these, and
Thank you,
subsequently
SK.
you can have the
बहुत
Q&A.
अच्छा, you brought a good point. Even I get worried when I see this cases of fratricide happening quite regularly now, cases of suicides. And let me tell you one, we are all officers here, but we have very unhappy people. मैं साफ बता रहा हूँ. The number of people wanting to leave paramilitary forces after minimum service, same as army. 15 साल के बाद अगर आप आज बोल दो ना, यार 15 साल के बाद कौन छोड़ना चाहते हैं, I think 1/3 of army will leave. ये fact है, hard hitting है. People want to leave because somewhere I think we have not generated, in fact, good point you brought out. This is very close to my heart. I was a different kind of commander, totally different. Unlike a typical Fauji commander, मैंने किया ही नहीं वो काम. Somehow we don't know हमारे जवानों को क्या चाहिए. हम बहुत hierarchical, बहुत feudal है. तो ये feudal culture को अगर हम नहीं खत्म करेंगे तो there's a big gap. जबकि हम उसी society से आते हैं. We all come from same society, our boys and our officers. All of come from same lower middle class homes, but we are very feudal. We are not accessible. We are not approachable. हमारे बहुत इसलिए, और नीचे वाले जो हैं वो दबाने में बिलीव करते हैं. उनको हमने वो I think it'll be junior leaders will have to step up. We have to dismantle a lot of feudal culture, accessibility of commanding officers and brigadiers, DIG level. Can you believe that मेरे office के बाहर I had removed the red and green light. I commanded a unit more than 20 years back. It was a path-breaking thing in armored division. यार ये यशमोर ने light हटा दी है. My office was accessible to any जवान. If I don't want to, I'll say यार 5 मिनट में बुला लूंगा, मैं काम कर रहा हूँ. Same as when I became a brigadier. First thing I did was when I took over the brigade, I removed the damn red light. And हमारे यहाँ लगा होता है ये flag vehicle only this. We are very feudal. So we have to leave all this nonsense and be accessible, be approachable. So you should be able to walk into lines in PT dress. Don't carry your rank too much. Rank को जेब में रखना चाहिए. लोगों से दिल से बात करनी चाहिए. They'll tell you. They will tell you. Otherwise, in briefings and presentations, we are past masters at telling each other, things we want to hear. We never tell the truth. So somehow, with the living conditions of men have not changed. थोड़ा बहुत हुआ है change, but the way we live, our messes. मैं सबके mess की बात कर रहा हूँ. BSF, army, our messes, our vehicles, or vehicles, everything has undergone change. But our men are still staying almost in same kind of things. जबकि इतनी requirement है job की, फिर भी लोग minimum करके छोड़ना चाहते हैं. And mental issues हैं, psychiatric issues हैं, हम address नहीं करते. हम बात नहीं करते उनके साथ. So somewhere this get bottles up and we have this. And आपके भी जवान बहुत isolated areas में काम करते हैं. Isolated, आपके company commanders many places I've seen there are no company commanders. I've traveled on the border. पूरा border मैंने travel किया कई बार. Even when I was CO or as a brigade commander, right from Amritsar से लेके Gujarat तक, many places there are no company commanders and platoon commanders are JCOs, you know, and I don't know how much of they have this connect. So you do have cases of fratricide. So two-way communication is important. And this communication cannot be वो दरबार वाला communication. वो कोई communication नहीं. It has to be more on personal level. We can use technology. We can use Zoom. We can use, when we meet them, we can have more informal communication channels must be open, so that if there is anything going wrong somewhere, कि खाना ठीक नहीं है, ये कोई तंग कर रहा है किसी को, छुट्टी नहीं मिल रही है, because far flung areas में रहते हैं, aspiration सबकी वही है. जो हमारी aspirations है वही हमारे जवानों की aspirations है. They also want their family to be well off. They also want to talk. They also want a good Wi-Fi connection. They also want internet to be able to speak to their families. So these are challenges. How can we keep our forces happy? How can we make, because मैंने देखा happy teams, they produce results out of proportion. अगर लड़के खुश है ना, कुछ भी कैप्चर कर सकते हैं. मैं बता रहा हूं, मैंने तो ये एक्चुअल लाइफ में देखा है कि इफ योर बॉयज आर हैप्पी, यू हैव, एंड आई हैव वर्कड विद स्मॉल टीम. आरआर के अंदर मेरे 10 लड़कों ने, मैं बता रहा हूँ, 36 आरआर में 10 बॉयज, एंड आई डिडंट नो देम. आई एम फ्रॉम गार्ड्स, दे वर फ्रॉम गढ़वाल एंड आर्टिलरी. हमने 10 लड़कों ने कोवर्ट ऑपरेशंस के अंदर पूरी लश्कर, पूरी हुजी, पूरी एचएम की कमर तोड़ दी थी. हमने 40 मिलिटेंट ठोके थे 18 महीने. टॉप के. आई हैड 18 सेना मेडल्स इन माय कंपनी. हमने पूरी कोर में नाम था, ये कौन है भैया बंदा, क्या करते हैं ये. स्मॉल टीम एंड वेरी बाकी को मैंने कहा तुम रोड ओपनिंग पार्टी करो, अपनी देखभाल करो, मजे करो, बस मुझे सिक्योरिटी का वो नहीं होना चाहिए, एंड कोई लेक्चरबाजी नहीं. सो and then as a CO also I've tried these experiments ki you are accessible, you know, you have horizontal and vertical communications, and they will tell you. So ये challenges हैं. Young generation अच्छी पढ़ी लिखी generation है, but they will want to hear you and you need to hear them. So something like that, SK, I think we need, finally it is individual style, how you you know.
Sir, good evening.
Hi.
Sir, may I intervene, sir?
I heard you out, sir, because you touched upon the Agniveer and the induction. Just my some more insight if you can give, whether it was a overall requirement of the defense forces to have these inductions, or how do you see it? And can it be considered beneficial for overall for the armed forces, this particular entry of people and living so early?
Actually, it is a disaster, this scheme. Very frankly, I'm telling you. No new General Naravne's kitab book has been put on hold. When he says it came as a bolt from the blue, it was no way. There was a discussion going on when General Rawat was a CDS. Ki 1,000 le lenge, 50 will be retained. But suddenly this order came, now implement and you go and defend the scheme. And about 1.8 lakh boys, Army, Navy, Air Force, गांव देहात के, who had cleared all exams, were waiting to enter. And COVID में बाकी भर्ती चलती रही. COVID में all tests were taking place. Only recruitment in the Army, Navy, Air Force was put on hold by the MOD. And wherever these boys went, the रक्षा मंत्री को rallies में यूपी के election में, he says हाँ होंगे, भर्ती होगी. Administrative, he never said कि नहीं होगी भर्ती. And suddenly one day this thing, so उनको तो हमने, I know how can we be so hard stoned कि ये जवान हमारे देश के नहीं है क्या लड़के. Doesn't the army require the best young people to come into the armed forces? ये प्राइड है देश की यार, वर्दी पहनना. ये एक झटके में खत्म हो गया. ठीक है, ऊपर से 4 साल की सर्विस भी काउंट नहीं है. It's not counted. You will get some ex gratia and all, but your service will start the day you become permanent. That is after 4 years. 1 in 4. आप बताओ 4 जवानों में आप सब इस रैंक के अफसर हो, 4 जवान आपके पास 4 साल में कैसे जज करोगे यार मैं A को रखूं या D को रखूं? So lot of issues are going to take place. और units में क्या प्रॉब्लम है? We have no soldiers now in the units. Units are deficient of almost 1 company per infantry unit, armored regiment, artillery. We don't have soldiers now. वो promotion चल रहे हैं, वो ऊपर चले गए. जो retirement वाले हैं वो जा रहे हैं. भर्ती हुई नहीं 3 साल, नो रिक्रूटमेंट फॉर 3 years। अब ये आए, किसी यूनिट में 5 आए, किसी में 6 आए, किसी में 10 आए। इनके क्राइटेरिया है, इसको ये काम नहीं दे सकते, इसको ये काम, वी कांट पुट हिम ऑन दिस cadre, वी कांट सेंड हिम ऑन दिस कोर्स। So this is created, and this I'm sharing with you because this is the reality. This scheme has to unroll someday or the other. The day military goes and tells the government कि सर ये मुश्किल है। Some people will defend, senior leadership का काम है defend करना, मुझे पता है, but it is a disaster. Actually, it's a national level disaster. I'm sharing this frankly with you, and I've spoken on it in spite of everything on the TV, everywhere. I've written on it, and so this is my views, and this is the views because मैं गांव से जुड़ा हुआ आदमी हूँ, मैं गांव देहात में रहता हूँ, मैं JCO जवानों से जुड़ा हुआ हूँ, एंड आई दिस यंग बॉयज आर इन टच विद मी। यार उसके आप सोचो, हमारा एग्जाम कैंसिल कर देते हैं NDIMA का, या हमारा जो CAPF की ऑफिसर्स की रिक्रूटमेंट कैंसिल हो जाती और बोलते रहे 2-3 साल बाद देखेंगे, SSB क्लियर हो गए, मेडिकल क्लियर हो गए और आपको एकेडमी नहीं। दिस हैपेंड विद thousands and thousands of them. They went to court, but you know how courts are now. They will just do whatever they are told. कैसे कर दो। So Agniveer scheme, Agnipath is absolutely neither national interest, neither in the interest of the army, and neither in the interest of the youth of India.
This situation was already existing in army, sir. In the, Short Service Commission was some sort of same what it is Agniveer. So nobody has questioned anything about those officers. Sir, let me say, sir, those officers just after putting say 6 years, 7 years, and that too at the level of officers they are coming to, and one day they are called, you just get away. I mean, this situation is existing since long, and there are so many things that you elaborated regarding, fratricide or so. Our officers are very, I'm telling you, you conveyed us that you have roamed entire border areas or so. Our company commander is everywhere. They are very much accessible to our Jawans. Question is not because of their not talking to or this kind of fratricide is taking place. The thing is the social and life and the families, the way they are changing. Earlier it was joint family. Now it is nucleus. Those, and that too, they are living in cities. There is no male member. So there are so many things. Social, media, these are contributing. This is not related with leave. This is not related with our officers are not accessible to. They are very much accessible to. They live together with the Jawans, and there is no such type of what you elaborated. Sorry to say, sir.
नहीं, वो आपकी बात, बट क्या होता है ना, आई नो 90% केसेस ऑफ फ्रेटिसाइड आर बिकॉज ऑफ सम मनी का चेंज है जो हमें पता नहीं चलता आपस में इन लोगों का, एंड प्रॉब्लम एट होम, इधर सम लव अफेयर गॉन रॉन्ग, और वाइफ के साथ प्रॉब्लम है, वाइफ के इन-लॉज का सब फोन आ गया, एंड देन थिंग्स गो। आई टोटली एग्री विद यू। एक्सेसिबिलिटी का सिर्फ ये है कि अगर कोई बहुत दुखी है, इफ ही हैज दिस ट्रस्ट, ही कैन went out and that moment can pass. It's only about, I know everywhere your officers are there, but कई जगह पे I'm sure there would be, it's just a point for consideration. I totally agree with you कि 90% of us are totally connected with our Jawans, but there may be. Now coming to, please don't compare Short Service Commission with Jawans Commission, recruitment. Totally different thing. Short Service Commission is a cadre we need a strong base in the army. आपको पता है ऊपर promotion नहीं है, तो अगर हम सारे ऑफिसर्स को रेगुलर ले लेंगे तो हमारे एवरी ऑफिसर विल गो टू कोर्ट लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल टू कर्नल. सो वी नीड लॉट ऑफ मेजर्स एंड दे शुड लीव आफ्टर 5 years. Now it is 14 years. So Short Service Commission is totally, even that we have not been able to handle properly. But now at least people go and do their MBA. They are getting good jobs, corporate वगैरह में चले जाते हैं. But पहले short service, I agree with you. 5 साल के बाद.
Allow me to say something, sir. Allow me to say something. The army is having, deficiency of officers. Even then they are being thrown out. So that is again the question arises.
This deficiency is artificial. This deficiency is artificial. We are all aware.
Sir, we are told that 12,000 and 13,000 officers are not there in army. They are.
Mr. Krishna, that is artificially हमने उसको करके रखा हुआ है. ये पार्लियामेंट के क्वेश्चन के लिए है इतना डेफिशिएंसी. Because if we fill all officers, each unit will have 35 officers. Every troop leader, every platoon commander. So those organizations have not changed. It is artificial deficiency. We have enough officers. We are recruiting more than what we were recruiting in our time in ND and IMA. All of them are aspirational. 50% stay back as lieutenant colonels. 50% is the rate in some of the arms like armored, mech infantry, air defense, engineers, ASC, AOC, even 50% don't make it to CO's rank. So अगर सारे शॉर्ट सर्विस कमीशन अपने वहां तक पहुंच गए तो बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा. उससे cadre management issue, nothing to do with recruitment. Please, it's a cadre management issue. So ये इसको आप कंपेयर नहीं करते कि शॉर्ट सर्विस था और अभी अग्निवीर आ गया तो टोटली डिफरेंट,
I fully agree with you, sir. I fully
Yeah.
agree with you. Agniveer, I just asked about it because you were making a mention. I wanted to know where from this came, because was it a suggestion or a white paper being submitted by defense forces as a policy? They wanted it, or it was put upon them, okay, by this, you need to do it. And because I foresee in next couple of years or in another 10 years, there may be a big vacuum in the overall fighting force. Because as you rightly said, people will get promoted who are presently in the Jawan's rank. You cannot hold them in that particular rank. And now you are taking people in 4 years who are wanting them to leave the organization. So who will be fighting the wars, as the infantry battalions need to be equipped. And they, over a period of 10 years or 12 years only, a CEO will needs time to know about his man, who is going to fight which kind of a battle, and where he exactly needs to employ that particular individual. So if you are going to phase out people after every 4 years, I mean, where from that fighting strength, and how will we be in a way improving upon our overall army potential of fighting a war? That is what was my question, and how this all trickled down, whether it was a demand from the armed forces itself, or it was a policy decision taken.
No, see, it started as a tour of duty. I only know what is there in open media. See, I'm not in recruiting directorate. I've never served. In last few years, I was always in field and these things. So I really don't know. What I gather from media reports and this thing is that started as a tour of duty program for 1,000, initially for 100 officers. Let corporate वालों को बड़ा शौक है यूनिफॉर्म पहन के फोटो खींचने का. क्या corporate वालों को थोड़ा एक्सपोजर मिल जाएगा, थोड़ा सिविल सर्विसेज ऑफिसर्स को एक्सपोजर देने के लिए इस टाइप से, ताकि विल गेट फ्यू पीपल फॉर अ ईयर, दे विल सर्व एंड दे विल गो बैक एंड दे विल बी आवर एम्बेसडर्स व्हेन दे गो आउट ऑफ द मिलिट्री. बट फॉर जवान्स इट वाज नेवर एवर थॉट, नेवर एवर इन द वाइल्डेस्ट ड्रीम मैंने कभी अपनी सर्विस में सुना कि जवानों को कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पे लेके आएंगे. सो सम ब्राइट आइडिया समवेयर से दिस जनरल राम ने इसके बुक में भी, बट दैट हैज बीन पुट ऑन होल्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट, सो ही वुड नो, और पीपल हु सर्व्ड at that time in these organizations, I really don't know. But sir, let me tell you, it takes 8 to 9 years of service for a soldier to be a tank commander, to be a RT det commander, to be a mechanized infantry commander, to be an air defense launcher commander, to be a signaler. 8-9 साल की सर्विस में हम ट्रस्ट करते इतने कोर्स देके कि अब तू टैंक लेके जा सकता है. अब 4 साल का सिपाही क्या हम उसको सिखा सकते हैं?
Sir, दो
So
aspect है
the
sir.
seasonal soldier takes 8 to 9 years of service to be really, and फिर वो affinity आती है, मेरी unit, मेरी regiment, he understands. Only then he understands. Then he can be part of a fighting machine. You're so right. So right. That is why I have this angst, and I'm not diplomatic about this issue.
Sir, there is one more issue.
This may be, sir, this may be in the form of training the general people, general mass level training, which is mandatory in other countries. So this may be another form. Second, sir, so far what I have come to know, that the entire those Agniveer are not getting, I mean, in one go thrown out. 25% are being thrown out. Not thrown out. They are getting skilled and giving some sort of training or so to get employment outside. 75% are remain there. Those who are free.
No. 25
so far,
will remain.
what I have come to know.
नहीं, Mr. Krishna, 25 will remain, 75 will go. अब
Oh,
मैं
that
एक
may be-
अग्निवीर से बात कर,
that
सुन लो,
may be.
मैं एक अग्निवीर से बात कहता, सर अगर मैंने ये रिजर्वेशन ही लेना है निकलने के बाद, मैं पहले ही ना चला जाऊं वहां पे. अगर मुझे पैरामिलिट्री में जाना है, मुझे किसी सिक्योरिटी एजेंसी में जाना है, मैं पहले ही ना वहां फाइट मार के पहले चला जाऊं. मैं क्यों 4 साल बर्बाद करूं यहाँ पे? सो ये
तो सर उसको तो रोका किसी ने नहीं है, वो चला जाए.
ठीक है, चला जाए.
पहले ही नहीं आए. He should have opted that
देखो,
one. But
ये
he is
empathy
visualizing.
इसमें मिस्टर कृष्णा सोशियो इकोनॉमिक फैक्टर भी है. अगर आप प्लीज इफ यू लुक एट द रिक्रूटमेंट
Yes,
पैटर्न
sir.
ब्रिटिश पीरियड, which areas they recruited in the British Indian Army, you will find how prosperity has reached there. एक जवान जिस घर से भर्ती होता है उस घर की 3 पीढ़ियां चेंज हो जाती हैं. We have to look at socio-economic factor of our rural youth. हम ये क्यों भूल जाते हैं? We are not why do we compare with Israel, Singapore and America? We are a different nation. So this factor is glossed over because military recruitment and recruitment in paramilitary forces, this gives a outlet to rural youth to, prosper also. तो कल को आप सब में कर दो, फिर आर्मी में क्यों किया ये? We should have done this in state police and many other organizations. This thing could have been tried out.
Sir, just one. What is your take on the intake of the females, sir? Which is increasing. So kindly enlighten us. So that is very important issue.
Yes,
Good question. What about you? You are recruiting more than us. You are recruiting more than us.
We are supposed to ultimately have around 15% right now. That is the aim. But to be frank, that is a problem, sir. There is a problem.
सही बात की. और कमाल की बात क्या है कि हमारी नेवी सबसे आगे है. वो कहते हैं हम बैटलशिप में भी इनको भी वो करेंगे. अग्निवीर as female sailors have been recruited by our navy first. ठीक है. See, officers have come now. 25 years have happened. Military officers, they started sometimes in 90s from OTA short service. All of them went to court. All of them went to court and almost everyone got a permanent commission or pensionable service. Now we have opened up NDA. Again, everything has been done by courts. Army had put its foot down even on NDA, opening up NDA. Finally, 19 vacancies is what we are getting for girls in NDA. Okay. How many will clear 3 years, join IMA and get commission? They will be the first fully commissioned officers. So that's okay. Now armies started accepting some fraction of women as Jawan bhi accept karte hain. But Jawan mein aana females ka, we started with military police because कोई law and order situation होती है, कुछ घर में कोई crime हो गया, तो we had no female soldiers to, go and talk to females or search and all that kind of thing. So military police mein aayi. But now the talk is that we have to induct women soldiers also in some form. So I don't know. If it happens, it will happen. But there are issues with females. You are aware. You all have been handling female officers. There are issues. They are very passionate as young. In fact, they are more sincere than male officers. But then marriage comes, then children come, then postings, then spouse posting. तो एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पे जो हमारी छोटी यूनिट्स हैं लद्दाख में, कोई सप्लाई डिपो है, ऑर्डिनेंस डिपो है, कोई छोटी छोटी जहां 2 ऑफिसर्स पोस्टेड हैं, उसमें से अगर एक फीमेल और वो मैटरनिटी लीव पे चलेगी 9 महीने की, बेचारा दूसरा क्या करेगा? सो देयर आर.
इसमें मैं इसी वक्त एक और पूछना चाहता हूं. दिस इज फॉर इंडिया, व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू डू.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the status rest of the world? What the Western countries are doing? What is the status there? Fighting, combat arms.
See, combat arm mein they have been tried by US and few others, but not very successful. They also have the same issues of sexual harassment and all these issues. And whereas the society is much more developed than our society, much more developed. But even there, when I've been to, the US military and I keep seeing so even there, they're best employed in intelligence. They're best employed in, jobs which require, communications, technology, and their combat arms में हमें क्या जल्दी पड़ी हुई है combat arms में? अभी तो इंडिया में भी हम only artillery we have inducted 5 female officers in the last short service course. So armored mechanized infantry and para SF are still, we have not. But someday somebody will, to score brownie.
What I was trying, that is fine, sir. What I was trying to get at, do we have a leader on this road in the rest of the world who have shown the path कि हम yes कर सकते हैं, combat arm में, regular में हैं, para में भी हैं, special forces में भी हैं, mechanized में भी हैं. तो ऐसा कोई देश है जिसके अंदर ये proven fact हो गया हो कि there is no difference and the females can also be utilized in the similar manner?
I don't see this. And you must compare with bigger country. You can't compare with
USA. Let us talk about US.
Russia.
China. No. We can talk to about our neighbor. No. So then why we need to do something just artificially? There are certain things. Somebody who is making the rules at the higher level, they need to realize everything is not equitable. It cannot be easily divided between, everybody will be treated on the same par. So somebody needs to, कि डेमोक्रेसी की जगह स्थान होता है, बाकी हर जगह नहीं होता है.
आई एग्री विद यू, मानता हूं मैं आपकी बात. तो इसीलिए ये रेजिस्टेंस है अभी भी, इन
But he
सर्टेन.
should put his foot down.
No, exactly. Whenever I was asked for a feedback, I said they are very good as young officers. बट उसके बाद देखो, आप कॉम्बैट की बात कर, मैं कई बार ये सेमिनार में लड़कियां ही कहती हैं सर हमने आना है. मैंने कहा कैन यू स्लीप इन अ पोस्ट विद 10 men? कैन यू शेयर अ स्लीपिंग बैग विद अनदर सोल्जर, मेल सोल्जर? कैन यू गो ऑन अ लॉन्ग रेंज पेट्रोल ओनली फीमेल एंड देयर आर 10 boys with you, all male? Can you lead them? Can you stay with them in those conditions? Females have their own issues of health, hygiene. मतलब क्या जरूरत पड़ी हमारे को हर चीज में बराबरी करने की? So then I tell them it's not easy. You can't even match up. So ठीक है, there are jobs for you. Piloting है, intelligence है, education है, logistics है, electronic. Of course, you can do equally good job. There's no doubt. Static उसमें, foreign languages में है, इन सब चीजों में आप intelligence में तो बहुत ही बढ़िया काम कर सकती हैं females. Interrogation में है. So but to be in front with an AK-47, everyone need not be there.
Sir, just one other thing which is not related to this. There is a question about disintegration of Pakistan, which keeps on being talked about. So, what is your take? Whether it would be beneficial for India in some sense, or having this, bifurcated 4-5 pieced Pakistan, and what would be the likely, scenario at that point of time? How-
Excellent question. I have been a Pakistani watcher for last 35 years. ये मेरी पूरी अलमारी एक कोने में यहाँ ना सारी बुक्स पाकिस्तान की हैं. मुझे फैसिनेशन है पाकिस्तान की, इस्लाम पे. मैंने कुरान भी पढ़ी हुई है, मैं ना कलमा भी पढ़ सकता हूँ. मुझे ना पाकिस्तान के साथ फैसिनेशन है. देयर आर 2 ब्यूटीफुल पॉडकास्ट ऑन माय चैनल. आपको जब टाइम मिले ना आज देख लेना मेरा यूट्यूब चैनल मेजर यशमोर. उसमें 2 पॉडकास्ट हैं. एक कैप्टन आलोक बंसल है नेवी का, नेवल ऑफिसर बट एक्सपर्ट ऑन पाकिस्तान. मैं उसको बहुत साल से जानता हूँ. नाउ इज वर्किंग विद सम थिंक टैंक. ही लेफ्ट द नेवी एज अ कैप्टन. तो उस पे हमने ना कई बार उससे ये डिस्कस किया है, उसके साथ औरों के साथ. बाल्कनाइजेशन एंड लेबनाइजेशन ऑफ पाकिस्तान, ये 2 चीजें. पाकिस्तान का क्या होगा और हमारे हित में क्या है. पहली बात तो जो भी हम पढ़ रहे हैं, जो भी कर रहे हैं, पाकिस्तान इज गोइंग नोवेयर. ठीक है, पाकिस्तान इज गोइंग नोवेयर. इट विल मडल अलोंग. इट्स डाउन इन डंप्स इकोनॉमिकली, बट इट वाज वेरी हाई अप इन 60s. हमसे आगे थे हर चीज में, जीडीपी में, पर कैपिटा इनकम में. अभी वो बिकॉज ऑफ मिलिट्री एंड पॉलिटिक्स एंड जो भी लगा लो उनकी सिचुएशन. अब नाउ कमिंग टू इंटरनल, पाकिस्तान हैज ह्यूज एथनिक इश्यूज एंड दोज इश्यूज जो फॉल्ट लाइन्स है पाकिस्तान की, दे आर ग्लेरिंग. And Balochistan wanting independence for so many years, but it can't get. It doesn't have the critical mass. लोग बहुत कम है. स्टेट बहुत बड़ा, लोग है ही नहीं. लड़ाई लड़ते रहेंगे, खत्म हो जाएंगे. They can never achieve their aim because finally you need critical mass. पंजाब critical mass है, dominant है, will continue to dominate the army as well as the politics. ऊपर you are seeing the situation Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and the situation with Afghanistan. अब Taliban and Pakistan are not talking, because refugees are being sent back. So, and there are a lot of skirmishes which goes on all across the Durand line. And it will happen. They will be fighting with Afghanistan very soon. And also Iran के साथ आपने देख लिया उनके क्या issues हैं. So, Pakistan has severe internal issues. But एक चीज हमें समझ लेनी चाहिए. टीवी स्टूडियो पे जो रोज पाकिस्तान को गाली देते हैं और जो हमारे राइट विंग वाले रोज हिंदू मुस्लिम करते हैं, the more you criticize Pakistan, we are helping them. तो जो पाकिस्तान को रोज गालियां देते हैं ना अपने स्टूडियो में आके, वो पाकिस्तान की मदद कर रहे हैं. बिकॉज वन थिंग दैट बाइंड्स पाकिस्तान इज एंटी इंडिया. जब एंटी इंडिया होता है तो पूरा पाकिस्तान उनकी फौज के साथ जुड़ जाता है. तो हमें कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि हमें रेटोरिक और जिंगोइज्म नहीं करना चाहिए. पाकिस्तान हैज टू फॉल ऑन इट्स ओन. वी कैन जस्ट नज इट, बट इफ यू टेक देम ऑन वन की ऐसे है, वो पूरी द ओनली ग्लू दैट स्टिक्स द नेशन इज एंटी इंडिया. और वो ग्लू हम देते हैं उनको, एंटी पाकिस्तान या इस तरीके की लैंग्वेज और ये करके. आई ऑल्सो कम मेनी टाइम्स ऑन डिस्कशन विद पाकिस्तानी गाय. आई नेवर शाउट, नेवर अब्यूज देम. एंड क्योंकि जरूरत नहीं है यार हमारे को. हम बहुत बड़ा देश है, हम एक प्रोफेशनल सोल्जर रहे, हमें क्या जरूरत है किसी को करने की. सो पाकिस्तान की प्रॉब्लम सिर्फ ये है कि दिल कोलैप्स, बट दे आर नॉट गोइंग एनीवेयर सून बिकॉज चाइना है. China will not allow Pakistan to go anywhere. Higher than mountains, deeper than oceans, sweeter than honey is their relationship. This is one relationship which can take on any storm. They will continue. Then US has deep interest in Pakistan. You are aware. They have kept the Pakistan army afloat all these years. अभी भी Pakistan army chief US में एक ट्रिप पक्का उनका होता है, रेड कार्पेट वेलकम होता है. पाकिस्तानी ऑफिसर्स गो एंड डू कोर्सेज इन US एंड वो कल्टिवेटेड भी होते हैं ISI वगैरह में ये सब. तो we should actually just wait and watch. We should stop anti-Pakistan rhetoric from our TV studios and our languages. And somewhere we must try and see when will the Pakistan army become weak. Because if the army becomes weak, Pakistan will collapse. But army is getting stronger because वो उनको लगता है भारत से खतरा है, देश मजबूत करना है, फौज के साथ हो जाओ. तो ये जो है ये dichotomy, and army is quite strong. Let me tell you, on Western front, our ratios are they're matching us in many places. Even we are superior, even then they are matching us at many places. So it's not a runway. It cannot be it can't happen. We can't repeat East Pakistan. Please let me tell you, we can't repeat a Dhaka in Pakistan. ये fact. So Pakistan ka, we have to keep reading, watching what is happening there. Now new government is coming after another 2-3 days. So, but army remains supreme there. They call the shots. And they are going nowhere.
One last question.
What are your views about these people, those unidentified motorbike born people doing good thing in Pakistan? Every week we are getting certain people getting killed, which those who are in our list. The list and dossiers could not do anything, but these people are trying to do some help to us. So it is, how do you rate this action?
WhatsApp University. I don't read WhatsApp University. Too much propaganda. I don't know what is propaganda, what is truth. What happened to us in Canada and in America? What happened to us in Qatar, where 12 of our... So please, no, I don't believe in this. Somebody is doing it. Oh, WhatsApp pe aata hai subah. I just don't believe. Something is happening.
Pakistani channels, they are saying their people are dying. People are dying. Who is claiming or who is killing? I'm just trying to say that how this change has come. Who are these good people, sons, those who are doing good job?
I don't know. This is exactly what it comes in WhatsApp in the morning. So I don't believe in IT cell generated. This is a real danger. ठीक है? So ये कतर में भी हुआ था जब when our people were given death sentence. Then finally we were told, yaar, mat karo ye sab. Maldives, you have seen what happens. So I think we must, as officers, actually somehow stop this reading what comes on WhatsApp forward. Till we hear the government say, let's see if the CNN, BBC, or some AFP or some news channel or some investigative journalist comes out with the Panama Papers, Pandora Papers, उस दिन पढ़ लेंगे, उस दिन तारीफ कर देंगे. WhatsApp forward से तो thank you very much. I just don't, and we must stay away from it.
One more question is regarding, you said army is a caste-based regimentation, then feudal system is there, then systematic problem is there, system problem is there. So what kind of a structural reform you suggest and what visualize, how you foresee the future army?
See, it's going to be technological driven army, there's no doubt, but man on the ground is very important. And हम जिनसे लड़ने वाले हैं, Pakistan, China, we will still be fighting for every inch of ground. So we will still require hard boots on ground. We still require men on ground. उसका कोई substitute नहीं है, जो मर्जी हम technology में कर लें. However, I belong to a regiment which is all India, all class, which was established in 1951, just after independence, to bring all soldiers from each community to serve together. So I believe that time has come. Today, and then I've served in Rashtra Rifles, and then in my service, soldiers fight. Good soldiers will fight anywhere. They don't fight because यहाँ जाट लिखा है, Sikh लिखा है, Mahar है, या Maratha है, या Rajput है. So, and this India has gone a long way forward. Young generation, I don't think they're so bound by their caste and community. So someday will come when I think we should mix, and we must have a in the infantry and armor regiments. I'm personally a strong proponent of mixing up. Every unit should be all India, all class. My personal मेरे views हैं. Army doesn't see it like that. It will take time for the army to. 84 we had problem. We had tried to mix our infantry unit. SK is aware. We were in service जब pure regiment units were mixed with other. But we went back to that after नहीं यार कुछ नहीं हो रहा है इसको वापस भेज दो. वो गोरखा यूनिट एक कंपनी जाट में भेज दी, जाट की कंपनी सिख में भेज दी. ऐसे किया हमने ट्राई. But वो experiment we couldn't take it forward to the next level where we recruit people like this. देखो मेरा ये मानना है, सीधी सी बात है कि अगर हम 60,000 हमें जवान चाहिए, 60,000 सिपाही चाहिए हर साल, वो 60,000 भारत के बेस्ट नौजवान होने चाहिए. वो कहीं से है, चाहे केरला से है, चाहे तमिलनाडु से है, चाहे आदिवासी हो, चाहे नॉर्थ ईस्ट से है, चाहे जाट है. बट हमारा रिक्रूटमेंट पैटर्न ऐसा, हमें देखते हैं जाट रेजिमेंट में कितनी जरूरत है, सिख रेजिमेंट में कितनी जरूरत है, राजपूत में कितनी जरूरत है, डोगरा में कितनी जरूरत है, गोरखास में. तो इस तरीके से ना समहाउ इट्स चल रहा है अभी तक. बट someday this will be a major reform. At least people like me who've been brought up in all India all class kind of a configuration will I'm looking forward to that.
बट तो देन सर बहुत बड़ा चेंज होगा, बिकॉज ये तो रेजिमेंट से ही तो जुड़ी हुई है पूरी इज्जत. सिख रेजिमेंट है, राजपूत रेजिमेंट है, उनके अपने अपने जो कॉल साइंस हैं, वॉर क्राइज हैं, वो सब
रहेगी, कोई बात नहीं. ये आरआर कैसे लड़ रही है? आरआर कैसे लड़ रही है?
आरआर का कंसेप्ट अलग है सर. वो
नहीं तो ये सेंटिमेंटल इशू है, ये सेंटिमेंटल इशू है.
I know, because we are, as it is like you had pointed out, that we are in all caste, all area type force. So we appreciate that. I got nothing against that. What I'm saying is that it will be a huge change. You will be changing the complete concept of fighting basic infantry of the.
आप ये सोचो मिस्टर राजन सूद, जब अंग्रेजों ने चेंजेस लाए अपनी आर्मी में 1857 के बाद, बड़ा चेंज आया. ब्राह्मण यूनिट्स वर ऑल फिनिश्ड, बंगाल इन्फेंट्री वाज फिनिश्ड, खत्म हो गई. फिर उन्होंने नई रिक्रूटमेंट पैटर्न शुरू किया, मार्शल कॉम का लोगों को दर्जा दिया, एक गेम प्ले किया हमारे साथ. उसके बाद 1903 में रिफॉर्म्स हुए, 1922 में रिफॉर्म्स हुए. तब लोगों का मेरी यूनिट ना, जो मेरी यूनिट है फर्स्ट गार्ड, इट स्टार्टेड एज अ मद्रास कोस्टल सिपाहीज. मद्रास कोस्ट हम तंबी यूनिट है हम. बट बाद में हमें बना दिया पंजाबीज. फिर हमारे में मुस्लिम कंपनी आ गई, फिर डोगरा आ गई, फिर ऑल इंडिया ऑल क्लास हो गया. इट इज सेंटिमेंटल. आई एम थिंक इफ यू हैव गुड लीडर्स, गुड बॉयज, वेल ट्रेन्ड, दे विल फाइट. ये कोई फर्क नहीं पड़े, मामूली चीज है, ये आएगी और जाएगी. ये मेरा मानना है, ये मेरा मानना है. अमेरिका में तो कोई नहीं है रेजिमेंटल सिस्टम, अगर हम कॉपी करते हैं दूसरों को. रशिया में नहीं है, चाइना में नहीं है. तो और अब भारत आगे जाते हो, वी मस्ट ट्रस्ट आवर पीपल. आई थिंक
सर इसी एनॉर्मली पे अगर सर बात करें, पैरेलल we were talking about Agniveer. So would you be amenable to having a Agniveer sort of concept for 15 years, not 4-5 years like it is right now? Will it be okay if that concept is put for 15 years?
Absolutely.
And then given, yeah,
absolutely brilliant. If you have, or even 7 years, 7 years में क्या ग्रेजुएटी मिल जाती है, कलर सर्विस है, फिर वो रिजर्विस्ट है. पहले 7 years थी. ये एसके वुड नो, पहले जब मेरे फादर वगैरह फौज में थे, 7 years was मिनिमम. कलर सर्विस बोलते थे. 7 years कलर सर्विस कर ली तो यू गॉट ग्रेजुएटी. सो 4 years is to avoid that. So yeah, we 15 years would be.
Basically you are reducing the financial implication. This is what you are doing.
तो मानते क्यों नहीं वी मस्ट से कि यार हमारे को पैसे की प्रॉब्लम है?
फिर नहीं तो ये एक स्टेटेड वो है ना कि हमने वी विल बी फाइन वो आर्मी को वी विल बी रिड्यूसिंग द साइज ऑफ द आर्मी, लीन एंड मीन बनाएंगे.
तो बोल नहीं रहे ना, हम क्या बोल रहे हैं? नहीं हमें यंग, अरे यंग ही तो है. आप फौज जवान तो उसी एज का आ रहा है. ये सबसे बड़ा फिग लिव है कि यंग आर्मी हो जाएगी अग्निवीर से. अरे यार यंग उसी एज ग्रुप के बच्चे, 14 साल के बालक थोड़ी आ रहे हैं, उसी एज ग्रुप के बच्चे आएंगे. सो दिस इज नॉट cutting logic. So yes, we need to save money. We can have a lot of discussion on where money can come from. Money is not an issue in India today. I don't know कि money की वजह से we are having this thing. But chalo, I'm sure this is a learning process in any country. Is this thing? I'm sure people will bad ugly will learn from it and move.
Yeah, thank you, Yash. You covered it very well. But finally, what best course strategy you would recommend to our important people, DIGs here of the BSF force, so that it is they have their long-term goals in place? what is the core strategy? One tip or one strategy you can recommend to them.
I know they're all highly educated, very passionate and inspiring people. In my life, my personal core strategy revolved around two things. I was physically very fit. Abhi bhi I can give run for money to any youngster in cycling or running. And second was reading. I was always aware क्या हो रहा है, भारत में क्या हो रहा है, दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है. Please cultivate reading. कोई काम ऐसा नहीं है कि आप पढ़ने से. You must read at least 1 to 2 books a month. And read fiction, non-fiction, very, very important for us to read. And reading is only newspaper. Please stop. Television is trash. If anybody is watching television, gone.
Sir, WhatsApp forward should also be kept away.
मैं तो कहता हूँ व्हाट्सएप ने तो SK is there. I can tell you हमारे वेटरन ग्रुप की मैं आपको पोल नहीं खोल सकता व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में क्या हो गया. Gone. We are gone. Mentally gone. ठीक है. So you have to read and you have to stay physically fit and aware कि हो क्या रहा है, aware हो क्या रहा है. And as we grow in leadership, ना जिस leadership में आप लोग बैठे हुए हो, empathy बहुत important factor है. Empathy. अब time है अपने juniors के साथ. If you have this quality, you will endear to people.
Thanks, Yash. You have covered it. Very deliberate talk. We have got another guest speaker lined up. And thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. I am available on Twitter. I am on Twitter as Yashmore. On YouTube, I have a fantastic channel. आप मेरे podcast देखोगे तो आपको लगेगा कि हाँ ये military officer हैं जो कुछ कर रहे हैं. And I am educating people, young boys and girls from rural India to become officers. And मेरा aim यही है कि अच्छे officer आए फौज में भी और paramilitary forces में. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Jain sir, I am really very much motivated by your physical fitness, enthusiasm, and the josh.
Thank you, sir. Stay in touch. I am always there. Lovely talking to you all.
And sir, can you share your mobile numbers? We would like to get in touch with you.
हाँ, मेरा मोबाइल नंबर मैं यहाँ इसमें डाल देता हूँ चैट में. SK has got it. SK, please. Mobile number.
Don't worry, sir.
And my YouTube, everywhere, Instagram, I am known as Major Yashmore. आप Google करोगे ना, Major लिखते ही सबसे पहले मेरा नाम आता है भारत में आज. ठीक है. So and my views are straightforward, candid, and I speak like this always. ठीक है. Thank you, but love you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you too, but the thing you are doing, I would like to join you on those things. So
Definitely, sir. I would love people to come and share your experiences and we work together. Absolutely. Love to. SK, please share my mobile number.
Yeah, definitely.
With the entire team. With the entire team.
Thank you.
And wherever you are posted, you want me to come there, कभी आएंगे घूमने फिरने, वहां पर भी जो है ना, I'll talk to you and your officers and men. मजा आएगा. ठीक है. Always there in service. Always. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you more, sir. Thank you, Colonel, sir. So I think now let's have a cup of tea, have a short break. I can see Sukhminderjeet sir is nodding his head, I know. So let's have a 10 minutes break and we resume at 4:15.
I thought, ma'am, you are giving us the tea. Let us have tea.
अरे मैथ्यू सर क्या बात कर दी आपने. हम तो चाहते हैं प्रोग्राम फिजिकल हो और कल ये फीडबैक में लिखा है काफी सारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स ने.
हम भी लिखने वाले हैं
feedback. हम भी लिख लेंगे तो ये दोबारा चलाया जाए करके.
सर बिल्कुल सर. Don't worry, sir. And anytime we are always ready to have good hospitality for our leaders who are serving our nation and securing our borders.
Thank you so
anytime,
much.
sir. Okay, so we'll resume at 4:15, sir, for the next session.
At Defense Institute of Psychological Research, DIPR, at Ministry of Defense, Delhi. She specializes in the area of positive mental health practices, resilience building, and proactive psychological preparedness. She has more than 20 years of experience in working with Indian Armed Forces in the area of mental health and soldier selection. So she's involved in many major research projects, and she has to her credit a number of national and international publications in the form of journals and books published by reputed publishers. Her scientific endeavors have benefited the soldiers and have been acknowledged and rewarded by the organizations from time to time. She will be taking a session on leadership in LIC environment, and to explain more about the same, over to you, Dr. Swati.
Thank you so much, Tanvi, for such a nice and elaborate introduction and the welcome. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I am Dr. Swati Mukherjee, and I've been working with the Indian Armed Forces as a psychologist for past more than 18 years. So that is the briefest introduction, which is relevant to this forum, because before we start discussing on the topic, that is leadership issues in LIC environment, let us understand and let us accept that both of us are on the same side. Though I'm not wearing the uniform, but I understand what are the issues in uniform are, and what sort of difficulties and what sort of environment that all of you function in. So thoda sa, I can keep it bilingual. Is that all right?
Yes, it will be okay.
Right. Because let's have a discussion rather than me teaching you or giving you something. So let's keep it collaborative, and let's try to gain something from the time that we spend together. So coming to the topic, Tanvi, can we have the next slide, please? As all of us know, talking about low intensity conflict, तो ये जो notion है low intensity conflict का, अपने आप में बड़ा wide इसका definition है, और definition होने के साथ साथ ये contested term भी है. कैसे इसको define किया जाए, और बड़ा spectrum है. मुझसे बेहतर तो आप लोग समझ सकते हैं कि जब हम low intensity conflict की बात करते हैं, तो इसमें एक तरफ हम डिजास्टर रिलीफ ऑपरेशंस को भी इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं, और दूसरी तरफ जो हमारा नदर्न कमांड और ईस्टर्न कमांड में जिस तरह के कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स चलते हैं वो भी इंक्लूडेड है. एक टाइम पर इजराइल पैलेस्टाइन को भी लो इंटेंसिटी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ही कहा जा रहा था. तो ये बहुत वाइड स्पेक्ट्रम है. तो हम डिस्कशन को वी विल ट्राई टू कीप इट रेलेवेंट फॉर आवर कॉन्टेक्स्ट, बिकॉज माय assumption is that the BSF is deployed in LIC areas primarily, and the kind of difficulties that you face are unique in themselves. स्लाइड के ऊपर जो कुछ भी आपको अभी दिखाई दे रहा है, आप सारे फेमिलियर हैं. इरेगुलर वॉरफेयर है, जिस वॉरफेयर के लिए हमारी ट्रेनिंग होती है, वेयर द एनिमी कैन बी आइडेंटिफाइड इजीली. ये उस तरह का वॉरफेयर नहीं है. इंसर्जेंसी वाली सिचुएशन है, हमें काउंटर इंसर्जेंसी ऑपरेशंस करना है. एम्बिग्यूअस सिचुएशंस होती हैं, ज्यादातर अनसर्टेनिटी होती है, एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. सिविल मिलिट्री रिलेशंस एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है, जिससे एज लीडर्स यू हैव टू डील ऑलवेज, एंड वेयर यू कैन नॉट रियली रिलाई अपॉन द जूनियर लीडर्स और द सबऑर्डिनेट स्टाफ. Then there are intelligence challenges, there are challenges to the well-being of the personnel, जो अक्सर अननोटिस्ड चला जाता है. तो एथिकल डिलेमास, जब हम सिविल रिलेशंस की बात कर रहे हैं, हम मीडिया से भी डील करना है. एथिकल डिलेमास हमारे सामने है, एंड there are multiple agencies which are operating in the same environment, so we have to collaborate with the state police and other armed forces, army, and mount joint operations. उसके अपने challenges हैं. So LIC constitutes a domain which is quite different from the day-to-day operation of any armed force, or running any administrative office or administrative force. And as senior commanders, what are the roles that you can play within this context of LIC? आज हम उसके बारे में बात करेंगे, और क्या आपके चैलेंजेस हैं, किस तरह से लीडरशिप चैलेंजेस आप ओवरकम कर सकते हैं. साइकोलॉजी के पर्सपेक्टिव से हम इसके बारे में आज थोड़ा सा रिफ्लेक्ट करने की कोशिश करेंगे. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. So what are the challenges? आपको क्या लगता है, आपके एक्सपीरियंस में आप क्या फेस करते हैं challenges? Can we share a little bit?
Enemy there is unknown.
Enemy is unknown. Yes, the situation is very ambiguous and change होती रहती है minute to minute. मिशन के दौरान भी जो न्यूट्रल है वो एनिमी में कन्वर्ट हो सकता है, और जो एनिमी है वो क्लेम कर सकता है कि मैं तो बाईस्टैंडर था और मुझे इंजरी हो गई. So fluid situation से डील करना. So that's exactly what I have written on the slide, establishing legitimacy and providing a sense of meaning. तो जब हम हमारे ट्रूप्स एक एम्बिग्यूअस एनवायरनमेंट में ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं, जहां ये क्लियर नहीं है कि कौन एनिमी है, या कब तक कौन एनिमी है, या कौन कब एनिमी बन गया, सिचुएशन फ्लूइड है, उस समय हमारे ऑपरेशन की, हमारे वहां होने की लेजिटिमेसी क्या है, हम किस राइट से वहां हैं, हमारा ट्रूप को सेंस ऑफ मीनिंग वो क्यों है, उसको एक एक्सप्लेनेशन चाहिए. इफेक्टिवली फंक्शन करने के लिए ऑल ऑफ अस एज ह्यूमन बीइंग्स नीड सम मीनिंग इनटू, we need to find a meaning into what we are doing. If I am working on a particular job, why am I doing it? If I have this meaning, then my dedication, my efficiency would increase manifold. But if I find my job meaningless, it will be difficult for me to keep focus on my job. तो जब सिचुएशन एम्बिग्यूअस है, ट्रूप्स हमारे अपनी जान खतरे में डालकर एक ऑपरेशन में एंगेज कर रहे हैं, तो वो क्यों कर रहे हैं, ये सेंस ऑफ मीनिंग प्रोवाइड करना सीनियर लीडरशिप के लिए एक चैलेंज है. इसके अलावा और कुछ शेयर करेंगे? व्हाट आर द चैलेंजेस इन योर एक्सपीरियंस?
नहीं, उन्हें पता है कि क्यों है, बट किनके साथ है ये उनको नहीं पता.
जी, एग्जैक्टली किनके साथ है,
they know कि why they have been deployed, but to whom they are supposed to fight, because they are within, not they are, I mean you are able to find कि these are the people to whom we have to confront. They are within and हमें पता है कि हमें करना क्या है, बट उनको पहचानना इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट.
एग्जैक्टली सर, नहीं पहचान पा रहे हैं कि कौन है एनिमी, वो अपने आप में एक कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट करता है. और सिचुएशन जो मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, इंसर्जेंसी के दौरान सिचुएशन इतनी फ्लूइड होती है कि ये आइडेंटिफाई करना मुश्किल हो जाता है कभी कि ये एक्चुअली बाईस्टैंडर ही है या ये एनिमी है, इसको मैं किस तरह से डील करूं. और उस मौके पर हो सकता है सीनियर लीडरशिप अवेलेबल ना हो, हर एक ऑपरेशन के दौरान आप मौजूद नहीं रह सकते. ऐसे में ट्रूप के लिए जैसे हम साइकोलॉजी में हम कहते हैं कि किसी भी क्राइसिस को फेस करने का सबसे इफेक्टिव तरीका है क्राइसिस आने से पहले तैयारी करना. तो यहाँ पर अगर आपके ट्रूप के पास सेंस ऑफ मीनिंग पहले से है, उसे पता है कि एक्चुअली ऑपरेशन का गोल क्या है, किस चीज से सक्सेस डिफाइन होगी, तो उसके लिए जो ऑपरेशनल लेवल पर डिसीजन लेना है वो उसके लिए आसान हो जाएगा बिना आपके गाइडेंस के भी. तो ये जो गाइडेंस है ऑपरेशन में जाने से पहले प्रोवाइड करना, स्ट्रेटेजिक लेवल पर प्रोवाइड करना, ये सीनियर लीडरशिप का काम है. ये एक चैलेंज है, ये एक चैलेंज है कि किस तरह से वो मीनिंग मेकिंग की जाए, किस तरह से मिशन की क्लैरिटी रखी जाए कि ट्रूप के लिए एम्बिगुअस सिचुएशन में भी, फ्लूइड सिचुएशन में भी ऑपरेट करना मुश्किल ना हो, वो अपने लेवल पर डिसीजन मेकिंग कर सके. हम फर्दर इसके बारे में और बात करेंगे सर. नेक्स्ट चैलेंज दैट आई इमेजिन्ड वाज मैनेजिंग द मीडिया. और मीडिया की प्रेजेंस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट सिचुएशन में आज एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है. एक केस स्टडी में आई वाज रीडिंग अबाउट अ केस स्टडी वेयर an Israeli officer, of course not during the present war, but while this was brewing, while this had not turned into a full-fledged war, एक इजरायली ऑफिसर किसी ऑपरेशन के बारे में शेयर कर रहा था कि जब वो किसी गली में एंटर करते थे तो बगल की बिल्डिंग के टॉप फ्लोर में से हेवी फायर आ रहा था, और जितने भी लोग एंटर करते थे उनके ट्रूप्स के, इजरायली ट्रूप्स, सबको वो वहीं कैजुअलिटी हो रही थी. तो फाइनली उन्होंने डिसाइड किया कि हेलीकॉप्टर कॉल किया जाए और उस बिल्डिंग का जो टॉप फ्लोर था उसको उन्होंने डिस्ट्रॉय किया. लेकिन वो डिस्ट्रॉय होने के बाद मीडिया वहां जो प्रेजेंट थी उसने इस तरह के फोटोग्राफ्स पब्लिश किए उस बिल्डिंग के कि इंटरनेशनल मीडिया ने उसको पोर्ट्रे किया कि जैसे कई सारी सिविलियन कैजुअलिटीज हो गई। तो मीडिया को मैनेज करना हम कैसा लो इंटेंसिटी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में जितना इम्पोर्टेंट है हमारे लिए फाइटिंग विद अ गन, उतना ही इम्पोर्टेंट है टू क्रिएट अ नैरेटिव। क्योंकि वहां जितना जो हमारा एनिमी है, जो हम एम्बिग्यूटी की बात कर रहे थे, वो एम्बिग्यूटी इसीलिए है क्योंकि सिविल पॉपुलेशन में भी बहुत सारे वो लोग हैं जो शायद हमारे एनिमी हैं, शायद नहीं है, शायद वो हमें सपोर्ट करते हैं, शायद वो एनिमीज को सपोर्ट करते हैं, हमें नहीं पता। और जो नैरेटिव मीडिया क्रिएट करता है उससे पूरी पॉपुलेशन स्वे हो सकती है। और हमारे कई सारे ऑपरेशंस आपके पास कई सारे एग्जांपल्स होंगे सर, आपने ऑन ग्राउंड भी देखा होगा मुझसे बेहतर, जहां पर पूरे के पूरे विलेजेस ने शील्ड किया टेररिस्ट्स को और हमारी फोर्सेस को कई घंटों तक ऑपरेशन चलाना पड़ा। उसके बनिस्बत अगर लोकल पॉपुलेशन सपोर्टिव होती है तो किस तरह से ऑपरेशंस होते हैं, ये दीज प्रोबेबली आर नोन बेटर टू यू देन मी। सो क्रिएटिंग द नैरेटिव इज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट part of fighting the war in LIC environment. And media अगर हमारे साथ है, मीडिया अगर हमारा ally है, तो हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ा बेनिफिट है। और मीडिया को मैनेज करना भी सीनियर लीडरशिप का ही चैलेंज है, जूनियर लीडरशिप लेवल पर ये एक डिफिकल्ट टास्क है। Thirdly, interoperability and rules of engagement. 3 C's and I. This is what I came across, one term. So command, control, communication, and intelligence. So 3 C's and 1 I of operating in combat situation. So command, control, communication, and information. ये तीनों चीजें हमारे पास क्लैरिटी की जरूरत है। और हमारे पास क्लैरिटी होने के साथ साथ हमारे जो ऑपरेटिंग यूनिट्स हैं ग्राउंड पर, आप ग्राउंड पर नहीं है, आप किसी एक कमांड एंड कंट्रोल सेंटर में बैठे हुए हैं जहां से प्रोबेबली आपके अंडर में 3 CEOs काम कर रहे हैं। उनके पास ये क्लैरिटी, ये इंटेलिजेंस किस तरह से आप कम्युनिकेट कर रहे हैं, क्या आपका नेटवर्किंग चैनल्स इतने मजबूत हैं, क्या ये नेटवर्किंग चैनल्स अक्रॉस डिफरेंट फोर्सेस काम कर रहे हैं। एंड फाइनली डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन ऑफ कमांड। चूंकि सिचुएशन इतनी एम्बिगुअस है, सिंस हम मल्टीपल फोर्सेस के साथ अक्सर काम करते हैं और रूल्स ऑफ एंगेजमेंट सबके डिफरेंट हैं, मिनट टू मिनट सिचुएशन चेंज हो सकती है, देन the research across the world has shown that the more decentralized your command is, more effective it becomes. What does that mean? That means the more you delegate the decision making to the junior commanders, to the junior leaders, more effective the decision making will be. But how to do that? There are some insights from research. There are some insights making use of basic psychological principles. Let us look at those. कहीं आप मुझे कुछ टोकना चाहें, ऐड करना चाहें, kindly do that. We would like to have a good discussion rather than a lecture. So, any of you, sir?
I have a point.
Yeah.
This is regarding the why of the why part of the thing, that why the troops are there. So on this, forces have nowadays worked a lot on this, and elaborate pre-induction trainings are conducted where senior leaders and gives their mind as to why they are being inducted and what they have to look forward to. The dilemma comes when the troops are inducted, and the major issue is gaining of intelligence, winning over the hearts and mind of people, and fighting and illusion. That is the dilemma they have to face.
Right. I understand, sir. I understand. So what I am trying to say here, I'm not contradicting what you said, sir. I'm just trying to say that this is a continuous process. Even when we understand, leave apart the troops, even when we have a good understanding why we are fighting the war, many a times the sense of meaninglessness might creep in when the situation gets tough. When we are fighting a losing war, not a war, but a battle. And in that moment, our effectiveness as a soldier might come down.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
I'm JK Birdi, DIG, presently deployed in Manipur.
Right.
तो जो आप की बातें हैं, मेरे ख्याल से जहाँ पे मणिपुर की बात होनी चाहिए।
बिल्कुल सर।
मेरे 8 टेन्योर J&K के हैं, जहाँ CI ऑप्स वगैरह और LC की भी टेन्योर रहे हैं, लेकिन 32 साल की सर्विस में मैंने इस तरह का इन्वायरमेंट फर्स्ट टाइम देखा है जो मणिपुर में। मणिपुर में सिचुएशन ऑल टुगेदर डिफरेंट सिचुएशन है। इस तरह की सिचुएशन कभी भी हमने CI ऑप्स में IS ड्यूटी में फेस नहीं की।
राइट।
यहाँ पे जो स्टेट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है बिल्कुल डिफंक्ट हो रखा है। पुलिस के सारे पुलिस स्टेशंस, IRB बटालियन, मणिपुर राइफल बटालियन, सारे वेपन वगैरह उन्होंने जो मिसक्रिएंट्स हैं उन्होंने लूट रखे हैं। अभी जो हमारा रोल एंड टास्क है BSF का, हम लॉ एंड ऑर्डर के नाम पे डिप्लॉयड हैं। मेरे अंडर 15 बटालियंस हैं, 15 बटालियन, 15 CO हैं जो काम कर रहे हैं। लेकिन हमारे BSF और जो बाकी अदर फोर्स, सेंट्रल पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस हैं, उनका रोल एंड टास्क क्लियर नहीं है। इस तरह की सिचुएशन जहां पे क्रिएट हो रखी है कि जो सिविल लेडीज हैं वो आके फोर्सेस का रास्ता रोक लेती हैं, फोर्सेस को ऑपरेट नहीं करने देती। आगे जो मिसक्रिएंट्स हैं उनको सपोर्ट करती हैं। जिस साइड में मिसक्रिएंट्स दोनों ने फायर करना है उस साइड में फोर्सेस की रीइंफोर्समेंट नहीं जाने देती।
राइट।
तो हमारा जो ऑपरेशंस हैं उसको सक्सेसफुल नहीं होने देती हैं, हमें बहुत ऑब्स्ट्रक्ट करती हैं। तो इसलिए जो पुलिस है वो भी जहां पे बाइफरकेट हो रखी है, पूरा डिमार्केशन लाइन खींच रखी है, ग्राउंड के ऊपर भी लोगों के दिलों के अंदर भी, और जो सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस, स्टेट जो फोर्सेस हैं उनके दिलों में भी। तो जहां तक सिचुएशन है कि ये लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की सिचुएशन नहीं है, ये एक तरह का सिविल वॉर है, जहां पे 150-200 के बीच में लोग जो इकट्ठे होके हथियार लेके वेपन्स के ऊपर LMG वगैरह माउंट करके जहां पे घूमते हैं। तो ये जो इस तरह की सिचुएशन है जहां पे काम करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, ऑपरेशन करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है।
बिल्कुल सर, बिल्कुल।
मेरा कहने का मतलब ये है कि इस सिचुएशन पे भी इस तरह की जो एक नई तरह की सिचुएशन डेवलप हुई है, इसके ऊपर भी बात होनी चाहिए।
जी सर, आपके टैक्टिकल लेवल पर कमेंट करना मेरे लिए ठीक नहीं होगा, क्योंकि वो मेरा डोमेन नहीं है। जो आप कह रहे हैं न्यूनेस ऑफ द सिचुएशन, और जहां रूल्स एस्टैब्लिश्ड नहीं है और इंटरऑपरेबिलिटी की कंडीशंस एस्टैब्लिश्ड नहीं है, वहां तो डिफिकल्ट है ही काम करना। ऑफ कोर्स, जैसे मैंने कहा, LIC इज ए बिग स्पेक्ट्रम, एक कंटिन्यूम है जहां पर हम एक लो लेवल पर पीस कीपिंग ऑपरेशन है, जहां कभी कभी कोई वायलेंट इंसिडेंट्स हो जाता है, और दूसरा एंड जो है वो, जैसा आप मणिपुर की सिचुएशन बता रहे हैं, वो दूसरा एंड है। तो वाइड वैरायटी ऑफ सिचुएशंस हम LIC में फेस करते हैं, और यही एक यूनिकनेस है।
यहाँ पर मैम जो चैलेंज है, यहाँ पे चैलेंज सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के लिए, जहाँ सीनियर कमांडर्स के लिए ये है, ना ये पार्टी हमारी दुश्मन है, ना वो पार्टी हमारी दुश्मन है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
That is the dilemma they are working under.
Right. So there are many such dilemmas. That's what I am just establishing the context, कि आपको अपने ट्रूप्स को ऐसे एक एम्बिगुअस सिचुएशन में काम करने के लिए मोटिवेट करना है, मोटिवेटेड रखना है कंटिन्यूअली, जो कॉन्स्टेंटली चेंजिंग है, विच इज इन अ फ्लक्स एंड विच इज अनप्रिडिक्टेबल ऑल टुगेदर। अभी पीस है, अभी कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, एंड सडनली अ बिग वायलेंट इवेंट हैपेंस, एंड देन एवरीबॉडी इज ऑन अलर्ट. So there are so many variations to it, and within which we have to ensure the effectiveness of our troops. And the most effective way, as I was saying, जो रिसर्च ने दिखाया, एक्सपीरियंसेस ने दिखाया, डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन ऑफ कमांड इज द मोस्ट इफेक्टिव वे, which has been found, which has also been labeled as mission command. तन्वी, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज। तो थोड़ा सा डिटेल में हम बात करते हैं कि मिशन कमांड, नॉट दिस वन प्लीज, द प्रीवियस वन, या सो थोड़ा सा डिटेल में हम बात करते हैं व्हाट इज मिशन कमांड। सो प्राइमरीली मिशन कमांड इज अ डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड कमांड which relies upon initiative, responsibility sharing and mutual trust between the leader and the subordinates. आप आपके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आई वुड लाइक टू से, since you are in a senior leadership position, you are a leader for mid-level leaders. So you are sort of, you're not directly commanding the troops, but through your COs, you are bringing in strategic and tactical level changes. और इस context में हम I see you as the leader who provides a vision to the entire force. हमें जाना क्या है, हमारा superordinate goal क्या है. So rather than designing and interfering and asking about each minute detail of each minute operation, I see the role of the senior leader as setting the bigger vision, bigger picture. And जब ये bigger picture आपके troops को, आपके COs को convey होगी, और जब आप दोनों एक ही platform पर होंगे through mutual insight, that is your commanders, your COs will also understand कि आप actually क्या चाहते हैं और उस final goal तक पहुंचने के लिए different steps क्या हैं. This sharing of the vision, this sharing of the vision has to happen, and your COs need to have a direct insight into आप किस तरह से proceed करना चाहते हैं. Bigger picture क्या है. कई बार क्या होता है, हम bigger picture समझते हैं पर हम ये communicate नहीं करते, हम ये आगे तक convey नहीं करते. और दूसरा, rather than designing each operation, the senior leadership has to clearly establish the final goal. Finally हमें क्या achieve करना है, और when will we call this operation a success. जैसे specifically if there is a target who has to be apprehended or who has to be killed, how do we define the success. मान लीजिए there is an operation to apprehend one particular terrorist. You got some intelligence, you went there, based on that intelligence you find that terrorist, but you also find there are certain others. Now how will you define the success here? Apprehending that particular terrorist, apprehending the entire group, eliminating the entire group? What do you want? What is your final mission? And how would you, what should the team on ground do? अगर dilemma की situation आती है, if they have to choose between two targets, which one is more important? So if you have conveyed the final goal, आपने अपना जो strategy है वो अगर आपके team के साथ clear है, they'll be able to take this decision without you. अगर आप on board हैं, बहुत अच्छी बात है, नहीं है on board, तब भी उनके पास ये leverage होगा, अगर decentralized command है. Now how do you decentralize? The next natural step is delegation of responsibility. So when you are delegating responsibility, you are refusing to micromanage the things. You are refusing to interfere in the operation. So I have met army officers, junior level army officers who have shared how their COs have actually interfered in small tasks like defusing a bomb, IED. And while they were doing it, the CO kept giving instructions, do this and don't do that, and then reporting back to the GOC that sir मैं तो खुद ही ground पर हूँ, sir मैं तो देख रहा हूँ. Now what is the motive here? Is the motive really helping the junior officer defuse the IED, or the motive is to rise in the eyes of the GOC? So the motive has to be clear. So you have to delegate responsibility, do not micromanage, and actually delegate. When you are delegating, you are also delegating, you are also making the junior officer responsible. So when they are given the onus, जो वो होल हार्टेडली कहते हैं कि ये मेरा काम है, जब आपने छोड़ दिया वो मानेगा कि ये मेरा काम है, तो उसका डेडिकेशन, उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी का लेवल एंटायरली डिफरेंट होगा. You agree, sir? Any comments on this? Right. So with delegation of responsibility, the next issue comes of acceptance of risk. Many a times what has happened, I am not very much aware of BSF के internal structure के बारे में, but army में क्या हुआ है, there is this culture of taking zero risks or having no error at all, zero error syndrome. So what is happening, जो काम एक जेसीओ कर सकता है उस काम को करने के लिए एक ऑफिसर चाहिए. तो चाहे वो कैप्टन लेवल का हो या मेजर हो, वो उस काम को कर रहा है. जब वो उस काम को कर रहा है तो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किसकी है? रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी उसकी है, क्योंकि फाइनली साइन वो ही करेगा. क्यों हुआ? क्योंकि जेसीओ को साइन करने की अथॉरिटी नहीं है. नाउ व्हाट हैज हैपेंड, द एंटायर जेसीओ रैंक हैज बिकम डिफंक्ट. वो बोलते हैं जब मेरे पास अथॉरिटी नहीं है, व्हेन आई डू नॉट हैव द पावर, देन व्हाई शुड आई टेक द रिस्क? मैं क्यों जाकर काम करूं? कुछ गलत हो जाएगा तो मैं क्यों जिम्मेदारी लूं? जूनियर ऑफिसर क्या बोलता है? द कैप्टन, what does he feel? कि when the responsibility is mine, when I have to sign the document, I might as well stand there. In the process क्या हो रहा है? जो junior officers हैं, they are becoming overburdened.
Ma'am, sorry
So
for the
this,
interruption in between.
yes sir.
As you now mentioned about that you are not much having insights about the functioning of the border security force. I would rather request you need to understand the organization for which I mean, don't take me otherwise. A little of idea you need to have of the organization where you are at this level where you are speaking, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely, sir.
Excuse
Sir,
me.
what I mean to say, may I submit, sir?
Let me complete.
Yeah.
Army has a very different style of functioning and a very different mandate and role to play.
Absolutely.
Border Security Force is an organization wherein there is just now the DIG from Manipur, Birdi sir, was trying to draw your attention onto certain aspects of the operations related to Manipur. Now, you are also giving insights on many operational aspects wherein the forces are functioning. There are more of theoretics differ from the ground.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. I agree with you.
What we are now talking about is theoretics.
Yes, yes.
Realities for each incident and each situation differs.
Absolutely.
And commanders, what the DIG Manipur again, the ground realities are different than what we are in a lecture hall or on a slide when we discuss on situations. So even maybe an army is not having that mandate, and is a particular example he gave.
Right,
but, BSF is an organization which is versatile, which is functioning with across the boards, and there is a freeness of working. So I mean, this particular lecture, I don't fully endorse on whatever you are telling us.
I'm just building the context, and if I may submit, I am not oblivious to BSF, but I have not worked on hard data from BSF. Whatever I have worked on hard data from Indian Army, and that is why the examples I am giving with empirical proof. I have empirical proof of what I am saying. I am not making any claims about BSF because मैंने कभी BSF के साथ कोई empirical काम नहीं किया. आप लोगों से इंटरैक्ट किया है, लेकिन जवान से या जूनियर ऑफिसर से मैंने कोई डेटा नहीं लिया. सेकेंड, जो ऑपरेशनल बात मैं कर रही हूँ, आई एम जस्ट एस्टैब्लिशिंग द कॉन्टेक्स्ट. द क्लास इज नॉट अबाउट ऑपरेशनल थिंग्स. आई एम जस्ट bringing in the context of the kind of operations, and this is a very limited view because I have never been a part of any operation. So of course that is my limitation, but the psychological points that I want to highlight, that will come after this, the issues regarding leadership. So that would be probably something that I can add on to our mutual understanding, and probably you might find some takeaways. This is your domain, sir. I am not contesting it anywhere, and whatever is written on paper is always very mundane as compared to what happens on ground. And that is what the crux of my talk is, that we cannot predict, we cannot write about any operation, we cannot write how a leader should function. So that word should is a taboo word in itself. I cannot give you any dictum that this is the right way of functioning. Rather, you have to do it for your specific situations. So with that disclaimer, shall we go ahead? Right. So your voice is echoing, I think.
Please carry on, madam.
Right. So we were talking about responsibility, delegation of responsibility and acceptance of risk. And the next point where the leadership comes, it is desirous for the senior leaders to lead by example. That is called personal leadership. And the mere presence of you should be motivating for your troops, for your COs. And the most crucial aspect here in establishing your leadership power or referent power, as we call in psychology, is establishing a mutual relationship with your subordinates. And how do you establish this mutual relationship? That is by reducing the status and hierarchical distance. There is a hierarchy inherent in all military organizations, but wherever it can be minimized, especially during operational environment, within operational environment, this hierarchy needs to be reduced. The communication has to be open and it has to be both ways. Only top-down communication finally hampers the operation, and this you know better than me.
Excuse me, madam, have you just now told what is this referent power? Have you explained it?
Sir, referent power is the power that you wield by way of your relationship with your troops or your subordinates. The example that you create by your own qualities, how your troops see you as a fighter, as a person who has courage, as a person who is independent, who is able to take independent decisions. So the image, आपकी जो image है आपके subordinates के सामने, वो आपका referent power है. जहाँ पर
Noted, understood.
Right, sir. And इसी में से derive होता है the final point, that is mutual trust. You should be able to trust your subordinates, and the same way your subordinate officers should be able to trust you. ये trust कैसे आएगा? Depending on the professional capability that you have demonstrated previously. Secondly, how nurturant you are of the subordinates. क्या आप उनको as human beings treat करते हैं या merely as a tool for achieving a certain target treat करते हैं? जितना personalized आपका relationship होगा आपके subordinates के साथ में, mutual trust उतना ही ज्यादा होगा. Next slide please, तन्वी. तो ये सारी बातें जब हम कर रहे हैं तो थोड़ा सा हम एक theoretical model पर आते हैं. हम theory की बात नहीं करेंगे, but we will use these theoretical frameworks to understand how we can develop these things. तो psychology में एक contrast किया जाता है leadership में transactional versus transformational leadership का. Next slide please. So as we understand the word transaction, what do we mean by a transaction? Transactional leadership, जो generally हम अपने सीनियर्स और जूनियर्स के बीच के रिलेशनशिप के बीच में समझ सकते हैं, that leaders have a certain power to give certain things, to give certain rewards, and to withdraw certain rewards or punish in a certain way. And these rewards and punishments are used to motivate the people, increase their productivity, for achievement of goal or for task accomplishment. So basically, next slide please. Transactional leadership is based on reward and punishment. जो power है वो leader के हाथ में है, और troops इसलिए follow करते हैं क्योंकि leader के हाथ में ये powers हैं. What are those powers? What are those options that the leaders have? They can either, जैसे अभी मैंने कहा, वो रिवॉर्ड कर सकते हैं, अप्रिसिएशन दे सकते हैं, या पनिशमेंट दे सकते हैं. लेकिन रिवॉर्ड और पनिशमेंट, मियरली लीडिंग बाय रिवॉर्ड एंड पनिशमेंट, आपको पता है कि ये इफेक्टिव नहीं है. दूसरा तरीका क्या है, जो अक्सर बहुत सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में देखा जाता है, कि लीडर तभी बीच में आता है, तभी इंटरफेयर करता है जब वो देखता है कि कुछ गलत हो रहा है. सो दैट इज लेज़र-फेयर लीडरशिप. आई विल नॉट इंटरफेयर as long as everything is going all right, and the moment something goes wrong, I'll apprehend the people and ask them. And इसका दूसरा थोड़ा सा बेहतर तरीका है एक्टिव मैनेजमेंट, by exception, that I'll keep watching. Wherever there is a mistake, then I will correct them, or I'll correct them before they make an error. So ये बहुत यूटिलिटेरियन मॉडल है, यूटिलिटी बेस्ड मॉडल है कि हम कर चुके अपना काम, अब हम लीडरशिप पोजीशन में आ गए, अब हम सिर्फ मॉनिटर करेंगे, जहां जो गड़बड़ करेगा उसको पनिश करेंगे, जहां जो अच्छा करेगा उसको रिवॉर्ड करेंगे. बट experience has shown that in the armed forces this model usually does not work. It is not an effective model. So what is the option? The option is, the next slide please. The next option which is available to us is engaging in a transformational leadership. Who is a transformational leader? Can we have the next slide please? Transformational leadership एक कोई एंड पॉइंट नहीं है. ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल लीडरशिप का मतलब है कि आप अपने सबऑर्डिनेट्स के साथ कैसा रिलेशनशिप बनाते हैं, आप कितना उनको समझते हैं और कितना उनको एज ह्यूमन बीइंग्स रिगार्ड करते हैं. और जब आप उनकी जरूरतों को समझते हैं, उनको एक इंसान की तरह रिगार्ड करते हैं, उनके मोटिवेशंस क्या हैं, इन चीजों को आप रिकॉग्नाइज करते हैं, then they regard you as their leader at a personal level, and then you emerge as a charismatic and visionary leader. So basically what transformational leadership is saying that ये काम भर की relationship नहीं है. यहाँ जितना closely आप engage करेंगे अपने subordinates के साथ, आपकी effectiveness as a leader उतनी ज्यादा होगी. Next slide please. So again, little bit of theory, but let's skip that. So idealized influence, intellectual stimulation, inspirational motivation and individual consideration. ये 4 components हैं जो आपको अपने troops के साथ engage करने हैं. आपका influence, you should emerge as an ideal person who can lead the troops. You are also responsible for providing intellectual stimulation. कि वो उसके लिए नया कुछ एक engaging task रहे हमेशा अपने आप को upgrade करने का. You also need to be inspiring the troops and providing individual consideration to your subordinates or your followers or your troops. What do we mean by individual consideration? Troops is a very ambiguous term. Troops matlab kaun, subordinates matlab kaun, who is who, personal relationship, individualized attention to your subordinates at whatever level, at the junior leader level, you need to engage with them in a personal manner. Next slide please. So another framework again talks about a dyadic relationship between follower and leader. Next slide please. Next slide. तो ये जो फ्रेमवर्क है ये भी कहता है कि फॉलोअर और लीडर के बीच में एक मीनिंगफुल रिलेशनशिप चाहिए, dyadic relationship होना चाहिए और personalized relationship होना चाहिए.
So madam, what is meaning of this dyadic?
Dyadic मतलब दो लोगों के बीच में. One side is the leader, the other side is the subordinate or the follower.
Okay.
So mutual interaction between the two is called dyadic. Dyad is any two, दो के बीच में. तो इसमें एक dilemma this emerges. Is it possible to have a personalized interaction with so many people? Because being a senior leader, you would have so many people serving under you. So who all are you going to engage with? किसके साथ में आप एक personal relationship बनाएंगे so that you understand their concerns, their motives? That becomes a difficult question. So gradually क्या होता है, धीरे धीरे एक ग्रुप इमर्ज करता है जो आपके क्लोज है. जैसा इस स्क्रीन पर if you can see within the blue circle there are certain subordinates who are close to you, whom you understand, which is your in group, and then there are certain subordinates who are little bit away from you, which are your out group. All of us recognize this situation. ये होता है या नहीं होता है? Can we have some comments please?
Yes, it happens.
Yes, it happens.
It happens. So is it a good thing to happen or a bad thing to happen or inevitable thing to happen?
It is not that much good. We should be equal with all people. We should
Yeah, we should be equal to all people, but is that humanly possible?
No,
It is not humanly
not
possible.
not.
तो कुछ लोग हमेशा ही नजदीक रहेंगे और कुछ लोग हमेशा ही एट ए डिस्टेंस रहेंगे. लेकिन जितना ज्यादा लोगों को आप एंगेज कर पाएंगे, not even if not at a personal level, can we have the next slide please? तो जितने ज्यादा लोगों को आप एंगेज कर पाएंगे, जैसे आप इस फ्रेमवर्क में देखिए, फेज 1, फेज 2 एंड फेज 3, अल्टीमेटली डिजायरेबल क्या है कि जिन भी लोगों से हम एंगेज कर रहे हैं, जो हमारे सबऑर्डिनेट्स हैं, वो फेज 3 में पार्टनर लेवल पर रहें, जहां पर हमारे रोल्स नेगोशिएटेड हैं, किसको क्या करना है वो नेगोशिएटेड है, इन्फ्लुएंसेस रेसिप्रोकल हैं, हम दोनों लीडर और सबऑर्डिनेट दोनों एक दूसरे को इन्फ्लुएंस कर रहे हैं, जो एक्सचेंज है, आपस की बातचीत है, ये जो भी हमारे इंटरैक्शंस हो रहे हैं वो हाई क्वालिटी के इंटरैक्शंस हैं, और फाइनली दोनों ही लीडर और सबऑर्डिनेट दोनों ही ग्रुप के वेलफेयर के लिए सोच रहे हैं. वेयरएज जब कोई एक नया है बंदा जो आउट ग्रुप में है, जो नजदीक नहीं है, वो उसका रोल क्या होता है, जितना रोल आप बता देते हैं वो उतना ही परफॉर्म करेगा. जो इन्फ्लुएंस है, लीडर सबऑर्डिनेट को इन्फ्लुएंस करेगा, लेकिन सबऑर्डिनेट लीडर को इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं कर पाता है. एक्सचेंज की क्वालिटी भी लो रहती है, और वो हमेशा वो बंदा सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट से काम करेगा. जितने ज्यादा लोगों को आप मूव कर पाएंगे फेज 1 से फेज 3 की तरफ, उतना ज्यादा आपकी इफेक्टिवनेस एज ए लीडर एनहांस होगी. Am I on the right path? Am I making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
madam,
ma'am.
yes.
Yes.
So this is where the context that I was trying to build. This is where I close the context, and now I move towards the psychology behind it. ठीक है, तो हमने ऑपरेशनल एनवायरनमेंट की बात की, LIC एनवायरनमेंट, हाउ इज इट अ यूनिक एनवायरनमेंट एंड challenges that it poses for the leaders, and how to negotiate those challenges, and for negotiating those challenges, what are the leadership frameworks that are available. Leading from distance does not work. Leading by instruction does not really work. What works is when you engage your subordinates at par. जब आप उनको रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज डेलीगेट करते हैं, जब आप उन्हें प्रिपेयर करते हैं रिस्क्स लेने के लिए, और ट्रेनिंग से आप उनको मजबूत करते हैं, तब यू इमर्ज एज अ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल लीडर हु इज ब्रिंगिंग इन चेंज एंड ऑल्सो एंगेजिंग योर सबऑर्डिनेट्स इन दैट चेंज. Right now we come to the one useful psychological framework that you can use for bringing in this change. If you are already doing this, very well, very nice. I'm not contesting, I'm not saying that you are not doing it. Let's begin with that premise. But probably कई बार हम जो काम सही कर रहे होते हैं, हमें उसके पीछे की इंसाइट अगर मिले तो हम और बेहतर कर पाते हैं. इस फ्रेमवर्क के साथ में आई एम जस्ट सबमिटिंग वन साइकोलॉजिकल पर्सपेक्टिव विच हैज बीन फाउंड यूजफुल इन डिटरमाइनिंग कि हम दूसरों से कैसे एंगेज करते हैं, फ्रॉम वेयर वी आर एंगेजिंग. बहुत सिंपल फ्रेमवर्क है. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज तन्वी.
मैम, इसमें पहले वाली स्लाइड में जो रोल्स हैं, स्क्रिप्टेड, टेस्टेड एंड नेगोशिएटेड, इसको थोड़ा सा और एलेबोरेट कर दीजिए.
जी 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 बिल्कुल. सो व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट हियर, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट 3 लेवल्स ऑफ एंगेजमेंट. फर्स्ट लेवल, व्हेन लेट्स इमेजिन कि एक कोई नया बंदा आपके यूनिट में आया है, या let's talk about a simpler example. A new employee joins an office. So किस तरह का काम उस एम्प्लॉय को दिया जाएगा, कौन सा काम वो कैसे करेगा, उसको जितना बता दिया जाएगा, मोर और लेस कुछ दिनों तक वो उतना ही बताया हुआ काम करेगा, और लीडर भी उससे ये उम्मीद करेगा तुम्हें जितना बताया गया है उतना ही करो. सो देयर इज अ स्क्रिप्टेड रोल फॉर दिस पर्सन. सो ही इज डूइंग ओनली एज मच एज हैज बीन टोल्ड टू हिम. जब वो थोड़ा पुराना हो जाता है, थोड़ा एक्वेंटेड हो जाता है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ में, उसकी टेस्टिंग हो चुकी है, जो लीडर है वो बोलता है हाँ भाई ये कर लेगा, ये काम उसको दे दो. उसने आज तक किया नहीं है, ये नया टास्क है, बट आई हैव सीन हिज कैपेबिलिटीज, ही विल बी एबल टू डू दैट. दैट इज द सेकंड लेवल ऑफ एक्सेप्टिंग ग्रेटर रोल. एंड फाइनली व्हेन ही becomes an insider, when he becomes a partner, so you tell him that this task is to be done, and he tells you a better way of doing it, or he tells you an alternate way of doing it. So he becomes, his role has been negotiated. ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि लीडर ने डेलीगेट किया और सबऑर्डिनेट ने एक्सेप्ट किया. So the relationship between the senior commander and the junior commander has to be negotiated rather than being told from top down. We talk about communication from top down and bottom up. This is how it works, that there is a task to be accomplished. The senior commander, the senior leadership has made the strategy. Now you have to implement it on ground. You call a meeting of your COs and you discuss, and they also tell you that, sir, maybe I can do it in a better way like this, or there is an alternate way of doing it, or I have some additional input to give you, I have some additional information to give you, which would probably change the outcome of the entire operation. So this is a negotiated role that which can be larger than what you have thought, or which can be smaller than, which can be different from what you had envisaged for this person. So in this sense, as the person comes within the in-group circle of the leader, the roles are negotiated, and which in turn benefits the organization. फायदा किसका हो रहा है? फायदा आपका नहीं हो रहा है नेगोशिएशन से, फायदा उस जूनियर लीडर का भी नहीं हो रहा है. Ultimately, outcomes are better. So the organization is benefiting. So that is how the roles move from scripted to tested to negotiated. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Shortly, ma'am, we can say phase 1 is Man Ki Baat, phase 2 is Jan Ki Baat, phase 3 is Milkar Baat.
Bilkul, bilkul. Absolutely. This is a beautiful way of putting it. Thank you, sir. Right. So let's move ahead then. Yeah. So next slide, please. So we were talking about the certain psychological insights. So we need to understand where we are communicating from. We are one individual. हमें पता है हम तो एक ही हैं. I am a singular individual. But within us, there are so many different levels. There are so many different processes that are happening. जब हम अपने subordinate से बात कर रहे हैं, जब हम अपने partner से बात कर रहे हैं, जब हम अपने spouse से बात कर रहे हैं, हम कहाँ से communicate कर रहे हैं? इसको समझने के लिए एक beautiful framework दिया है. Maybe आप लोगों ने किसी ने पढ़ा भी होगा. It's a very popular book by Eric Berne. I am okay, you are okay. Has anybody read it? अगर नहीं पढ़ा है तो जरूर पढ़िए सर. I am okay, you are okay, by Eric Berne, ERICBERNE. So this book is about what he calls as transactional analysis. Next slide, please. तो लेफ्ट में जो लिखा हुआ है उसको मत देखिए, सिर्फ फिगर को देखिए. आपको क्या दिखाई दे रहा है? तीन ह्यूमन फिगर्स दिख रहे हैं. फर्स्ट वाला क्या बोल रहा है? सिर्फ अपनी नीड्स बोल रहा है, अपने मुझे चाहिए, आई वॉन्ट, आई नीड, सेटिस्फाई मी. सो दिस इज द चाइल्ड विद इन अस. द चाइल्ड विद इन अस जस्ट वॉन्ट्स टू फुलफिल इट्स विशेस. उसको जो चाहिए वो चाहिए. जैसे एक बच्चे की डिमांड्स होती हैं, मुझे अभी आइसक्रीम चाहिए तो चाहिए. सेकंड, राइट हैंड साइड में जो फिगर है वो कह रहा है दैट इज द पेरेंट which is saying, no, you cannot have an ice cream. This is not the right time to have an ice cream. This is not, ice cream is not good for you. So this is the parent. तो हमारे अंदर का सारा moralizing, जब हम as a parent लोगों को रोकते हैं, खुद को रोकते हैं, rules set करते हैं, this is the parental voice. And in between is the adult or the manager who balances between the two. So all of us, this is a framework which helps us understand कि जब हम दूसरे से communicate कर रहे हैं, हम as a child communicate कर रहे हैं, हम as a parent communicate कर रहे हैं, या हम as a rational, logical adult communicate कर rहे हैं. What do you think would be most advantageous?
What do you mean by this ID which is written here?
हाँ जी, ये ID is actually id. ये framework थोड़ा सा different है. let's not discuss that. That's given by another psychologist. Id, ego, and superego. So id is the internal child, हमारे अंदर का child. Ego is the adult personality within us, and superego the parental personality. Different theorists different labels use करते हैं. तो एक और theorist ने ये labels use किए हैं. जैसे आप जो left side में जो written column है उसमें देखेंगे. So id is something which operates by the pleasure principle. उसको सिर्फ pleasure चाहिए, अपनी खुशी चाहिए. It is not concerned with anything else. It is not concerned with what are the constraints. I want something, so I want it now. I wanted a promotion, I didn't get it. How can that be? This is not possible. And ego operates by the realistic principle. So rationality, logical thought, जैसे एक adult इंसान सोचता है, एक mature इंसान सोचता है. And superego जो है वो parental voice है, जो कि सारे ethical principles, do's and don'ts, good and bad. और जो adult rational human being है, वो ये दोनों के बीच में balance करता है. Let's go ahead. It's a simple enough concept. बाकी सारी बातें भूल जाइए. हमारे अंदर की 3 voices हैं. One voice is concerned with wish fulfillment. Whatever we want it immediately, and we want that only. Another voice which tells us, no, it is not good to have, or you cannot have it now. And the adult voice, the mature voice, balances between the two. Right? This much is clear. Let's go to the next slide, please. A little bit more clarification on this. So basic structure, हमारे अंदर parent is the taught concept of life. जो हमारे parents ने हमें सिखाया, जो हमारे teachers ने सिखाया. Child is the felt concept. All emotions, motivations, feelings, wants, ये जैसे बच्चे के अंदर होते हैं. And adult is the thought concept. हम क्या सोचते हैं इसके बारे में rationally. Next slide, please. तो पेरेंट भी 2 तरह के होते हैं. कुछ पेरेंट्स होते हैं जो बच्चे में इंडल्ज करते हैं. बच्चा कुछ मांग रहा है तो ठीक है, ओके, यू वांट एन आइसक्रीम, ओके, आई विल गेट वन आइसक्रीम फॉर यू व्हेन आई कम बैक फ्रॉम ऑफिस. सो नर्चरिंग पेरेंट. तो कई बार हम भी नर्चरिंग पेरेंट की तरह बात करते हैं. हमारा सबऑर्डिनेट हमसे कह रहा है कि सर मुझे तो छुट्टी जाना ही है, आप कुछ भी करो, मुझे मेरी छुट्टी तो आपको सैंक्शन करनी ही पड़ेगी. सो इफ वी आर कम्युनिकेटिंग एज ए नर्चरिंग पेरेंट, व्हाट विल से, देख ले, चले जा, जल्दी आ जाना, तू तो जाएगा ही छुट्टी. दिस इज द नर्चरिंग पेरेंट. हु इज अ कंट्रोलिंग पेरेंट? कंट्रोलिंग पेरेंट इज कोई छुट्टी नहीं मिलेगी, चुपचाप काम करो, जब तुम्हें बताया अभी शॉर्टेज है लोगों की, बहुत लोग छुट्टी गए, अभी तुम नहीं जाओगे. सो यू आर कंट्रोलिंग, राइट? सो 2 aspects of parent. Parental voice can either be nurturing or controlling. Next slide, please. Similarly, चाइल्ड भी क्या हो सकता है? या तो नेचुरल चाइल्ड हो सकता है. नेचुरल चाइल्ड क्या होता है? शरारती होता है, बात नहीं मानता है, उधम करता है. या अडेप्टिव चाइल्ड हो सकता है, जिसने पेरेंट्स की बातों से अडेप्ट कर लिया है. तो इनिशियली कम्युनिकेशन तो हुआ बच्चे की तरह, लेकिन जब पेरेंट ने समझाया तो बच्चा मान गया, अडेप्ट कर गया. और चाइल्ड हो सकता है जो कि रेबेलियस है, जो नहीं सुनता पेरेंट की बात. और एडल्ट कौन है? एडल्ट रैशनैलिटी में बात कर रहा है. So these are 3 voices within our head. Whenever we are communicating with other people, we speak from one of these places. Either we speak as a child, or we speak as a parent, or we speak as rational, logical adults. कुछ एग्जाम्पल हम देखते हैं जिससे आपको समझ में आएगा. Next slide, please. So there are some statements here. Can you read, please? फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट, आप में से कोई प्लीज पढ़ेंगे?
It is not my fault. My drink got spilt on your new carpet.
मेरी कोई गलती नहीं है, मेरा ड्रिंक गिर गया आपके नए कारपेट पे. ये कौन बोल रहा है? पेरेंट बोल रहा है? बच्चा बोल रहा है?
बच्चा बोल रहा है.
राइट. The next one.
I wonder what might have caused that accident.
Yeah. क्या हो रहा है? एक एक्सीडेंट हुआ और उसके कॉजेज ढूंढने की कोशिश की जा रही है. So from where this person is speaking?
Adult.
Adult. Correct. Next one.
For goodness Say, clean up that mess.
Yeah.
Parent.
Parent.
As parent, correct.
Yes, as parent. Nurturant parent है क्या? नहीं है. Controlling parent है.
Controlling parent, yes.
Yeah. Next one. Shall we clean up the mess together with a wet cloth?
Adult.
Either adult or nurturant parent. दोनों में से जो भी हो सकता है. Next.
I refuse to get involved in this incident.
Yeah.
Parent.
Yeah. Parent, controlling parent.
Controlling.
Right? Controlling parent or even adult. Okay, so now you understand how we communicate from different places within our head. These are the different voices that we have. I'm speeding up the presentation slightly. अगर कहीं आपको ऐसा लगता है clarification चाहिए तो please stop me and ask. Let's have the next slide, please. So when we communicate with others, we can either communicate in a positive way or in a negative way. और हमारे जो ये ट्रांजैक्शन है दूसरों के साथ कम्युनिकेशंस हैं, ये या तो कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री हो सकते हैं, क्रॉस्ड हो सकते हैं या अल्टीरियर हो सकते हैं. कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री कम्युनिकेशन कौन से? नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. या सो हमारे कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री ट्रांजैक्शंस कौन से हैं? जब दो लोग कम्युनिकेट कर रहे हैं, दोनों एक दूसरे को कॉम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे हैं. पेरेंट ने चाइल्ड से बात की, चाइल्ड ने पेरेंट को जवाब दिया. क्रॉस्ड कम्युनिकेशन कौन सा है? हम एग्जांपल्स पर आएंगे जहां थोड़ा सा और क्लियर हो जाएगा. क्रॉस्ड कम्युनिकेशन, पेरेंट ने चाइल्ड से बात की लेकिन चाइल्ड ने एडल्ट की तरह जवाब दिया. और अल्टीरियर, जहां पर हिडन मोटिव है कम्युनिकेशन का. हम सामने कुछ बोल रहे हैं लेकिन एक्चुअली वी डू नॉट मीन दैट. We'll come to all three in little bit of detail. Next slide, please. There are some animations, so please, if you could press. So here there is a communication between director and employee. So what the director is saying? Director is saying, you are 3 hours late. I want an explanation. Employee is saying, I'm really sorry. I slept through the alarm. It will not happen again. I promise. So ये किसके बीच में? Director is speaking as a parent, as a controlling parent, and employee is also responding as a compliant child. अपनी गलती मान के sorry बोल रहा है, but this is not an adult to adult communication. But this is a complementary. यहाँ कोई conflict नहीं हो रहा है, नाराजगी कोई नहीं है. डायरेक्टर भी खुश हो गया कि इसने गलती मान ली, सॉरी बोल दिया, प्रॉमिस कर दिया, और एम्प्लॉय भी खुश है कि मेरे पेरेंट ने मुझे डांटा और मैंने गलती मान ली. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. नाउ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग हियर? What is happening here? Director is saying, you are 3 hours late. I want an explanation. And employee is answering, क्या बोल रहा है कि आप नहीं फंसे थे क्या उस जाम में, जिस जाम की वजह से मैं लेट हुआ? ट्रैफिक जैम था, क्या आप नहीं फंसे थे? तो ये क्रॉस्ड कम्युनिकेशन है और यहाँ वो नाराज हो जाएगा. डायरेक्टर को लगेगा कि मैं इसे रिप्रिमांड कर रहा था, मैं इसे डांट रहा था और ये मुझे he is replying back to me. So what is happening? This is crossed communication. Next slide, please. So and the third kind of transactions are ulterior transactions. Ulterior transaction में क्या होता है कि हम बोलते कुछ है और हमारा मीनिंग कुछ और होता है. हम any person would do this for gaining attention or sympathy of the other person. So, for example, if I tell you there is, I am overburdened. मेरे पास इतना काम है, मेरे पास सांस लेने की फुर्सत नहीं है. मेरे पास इतने सारे काम मेरे बॉस ने देके रखे हैं. आप मुझे बोलें कि भाई बॉस से बात कर लो, तो मैं कहूँ कि नहीं, बॉस से तो बात करना पॉसिबल नहीं है. उसके बाद में अगर मैं आप दूसरा ऑप्शन देते हैं कि आप जाके अपने प्रायोरिटीज सेट कर लो, प्रायोरिटीज सेट करना मेरे लिए, मैं बोलूंगी मेरे लिए प्रायोरिटीज सेट करना पॉसिबल नहीं है। आप बोलेंगे वीकेंड पर काम करके खत्म कर दो ना, वीकेंड पे तो मुझे घर पर रहना होता है। सो हियर व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, आई एम ऑल्सो शेयरिंग, मैं आपके सामने अपना रोना भी रो रही हूँ, और आप जो ऑप्शंस मुझे दे रहे हैं मैं उसको भी नहीं एक्सेप्ट कर रही। तो फाइनली व्हाट आई एम डूइंग, माय ट्रू मोटिव इज व्हाट, कि तुम मेरी हेल्प नहीं कर रहे हो। आई एम सीकिंग अ सोल्यूशन फ्रॉम यू बट यू आर नॉट प्रोवाइडिंग अ सोल्यूशन। So this might be happening many a times with you. This might have happened when you were a junior leader. आपका कोई जवान आकर कभी आपसे सोल्यूशन मांगता होगा, और जब आप मदद करने की कोशिश करते होंगे और हर चीज में एक नई समस्या खड़ी हो जाती होगी। तो यहाँ क्या हो रहा है, ये जो ट्रांजैक्शन है, ये जो कम्युनिकेशन है, ये एक अल्टीरियर मोटिव के साथ है। और वो अल्टीरियर मोटिव क्या है? सिंपैथी सीकिंग है। एक्चुअली वो आपसे मदद नहीं मांग रहा है, वो आपसे सिंपैथी मांग रहा है। तो ये जो अल्टीरियर ट्रांजैक्शंस हैं, इसको जो एरिक बर्नी है, ही कॉल्स दिस एज गेम्स, एंड देयर इज अनदर बुक बाय हिम, गेम्स पीपल प्ले। सो व्हाट ही सेज कि हम अपने डे टू डे लाइफ में कई तरह की गेम प्लेइंग करते हैं, जहां हमारा मोटिव कुछ और होता है और हम बोलते कुछ और है। तो हम लीडर और सबॉर्डिनेट के बीच में भी अक्सर हमारे देश में जो माहौल है अभी, इन ऑल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, even the sycophancy and the cutthroat competition to rise above and to gain favor of the seniors, जो environment है, there are many people who engage in these kinds of games where they do not actually mean what they are saying. The ulterior motive is something different. और हम अक्सर इस बात को अपने सबॉर्डिनेट्स के लिए नहीं समझ पाते, बट व्हेन वी सी आवरसेल्व्स एज सबॉर्डिनेट्स एंड व्हेन वी आर डीलिंग विद आवर सुपीरियर ऑफिसर, मेनी अ टाइम्स वी रिकॉग्नाइज दीज गेम्स दैट भाई बोला तो उन्होंने ऐसा, लेकिन मुझे लगता नहीं कि वो करेंगे। तो व्हाट इज दिस? दिस इज अ सॉर्ट ऑफ गेम where the person is saying something else and doing something else. And within these games, there is somebody who sees himself as a victim, there is somebody who is a persecutor, there is somebody who is a rescuer. तो ये elaborate game playing हमारी चलती है। So as a senior leader, we can develop some insight into our own functioning from where we are operating, and this game playing will stop if we start operating as mature adults, as mature human beings, rational and logical. If there are crossed communications, the chances of game playing are more. So when we are dealing either with our subordinates or with our superiors, are we really playing a fair game or we are engaging in an ulterior game? हम बोल कुछ और रहे हैं लेकिन मोटिव कुछ और है। क्या हम एक्चुअली सॉल्यूशन सीख कर रहे हैं? क्या हम एक्चुअली इस पर्सन से एक रैशनल वे में बात करने गए हैं, या हमारा कोई मोटिव कुछ और है? तो व्हेन वी रेक्टिफाई दोज स्पेसेस विद इन अस, एंड ऑल ऑफ अस डू दिस, देयर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग इन दिस, ऑल ऑफ अस प्ले गेम्स, एंड हमारे सोशल इंटरेक्शंस में ये इनएविटेबल है। हमेशा हर कुछ ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट कम्युनिकेशन पॉसिबल नहीं है, बट देयर हैज टू बी अ लिमिट up to which we are ready to harm the other person. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, so we have already discussed that victims, persecutors, and rescuers are there. Again, there is one example. Same interaction between director and faculty. So there is a training which the individual wants to go to. So what the director is saying, that this training is challenging, this is a very good training, but you cannot take it, I believe. जो तुम propose कर रहे हो, ये training है तो बड़ी अच्छी, लेकिन तुम कर पाओगे? तो actual क्या हो रहा है? Is the director facilitating? क्या director उसको कह रहा है कि हाँ तुम अच्छा proposal लाए हो, ये training में तुम्हें जाना चाहिए, या उसके सेल्फ एस्टीम को अंडरमाइन कर रहा है? ट्रेनिंग तो बड़ी अच्छी है पर तुम कर नहीं पाओगे। वेयर इज द फोकस? सो द गेम एक्चुअल मोटिव ऑफ द डायरेक्टर इज ऑफ अंडरमाइनिंग द सबऑर्डिनेट, creating a question mark for his or her capability. Another example between teacher and a student. So student wants to write an essay on a particular topic. But the teacher says this topic that you have chosen, आपने जो topic choose किया वो तो बड़ा अच्छा है, लेकिन क्या तुम इस पर लिख पाओगे? So again, what is happening? First part of the sentence is appreciation, which is immediately negated by questioning the student's capability. Actual outcome क्या हुआ? Actual outcome इसका negative हुआ, जहां बच्चे का अपना self confidence खत्म हो गया. Next slide, please. Next. Yeah, so this is a very useful framework and we will end with this. So this framework, जब हम बात कर रहे हैं दूसरों से, तो हम कुछ assumptions के साथ बात करते हैं. हमारा अपने लिए attitude क्या है और दूसरों के लिए attitude क्या है. So can you see two axes? On the x-axis, attitude towards others, and on the y-axis, attitude towards myself. How do I feel about me and how do I feel about others? तो अक्सर हम कहाँ से बात कर रहे हैं? पहला वाला क्वाड्रेंट, आई एम नॉट ओके, यू आर नॉट ओके. मेरे में भी कुछ गड़बड़ है, तुम्हारे में भी कुछ गड़बड़ है, तो मैं दूर रहता हूं, हम आपस में बात ना करें तो ठीक है. दूसरी पोजीशन क्या है? आई एम नॉट ओके, यू आर ओके. तुम्हारा तो सब कुछ ठीक ठाक है, मैं ही गड़बड़ हूं. थर्ड पोजीशन, आई एम ओके बट यू आर नॉट ओके. मैं तो अच्छे से बात करता हूं, उससे वो कुछ समझता ही नहीं है, उसको बात ही नहीं समझ में आती है. सो आई एम ओके, whatever I am doing is absolutely fine. I am a very mature and rational person. Whatever I am saying is very rational, whereas the other person does not understand. दूसरा ही गड़बड़ है, मैं तो सही हूं. And the ideal situation, the fourth quadrant, I am okay and you are also okay. मैं जो बात कर रहा हूं वो भी ठीक है और जो तुम कह रहे हो वो भी ठीक है. So let us mutually find a solution. So this is the ultimate goal if we operate from a mature, rational level and give space to the other person. This is the ideal that we would want to achieve. Next slide, please. So here in this slide, you can see how you can emerge as a leader, managing all sorts of conflicts. Can you make sense of this? पिछली वाली जो इमेज थी, पिछला वाला जो ग्राफ था, उसी को हमने यहाँ पर डिफरेंट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट मैनेजमेंट स्टाइल्स में डाला है. तो जहां पर आप कह रहे हैं आई एम नॉट ओके, यू आर नॉट ओके, मैं भी ठीक नहीं हूं, मुझे भी गुस्सा आ जाता है, तुम भी बहुत कमजोर हो, तुम मेरा गुस्सा नहीं झेल पाते हो, तो हम बातचीत ही नहीं करें, दूर दूर रहें, लेट्स अवॉइड ईच अदर. तो अवॉइडेंट लीडर who does not want to engage into contentious issues. You are not okay. मुझे तो सारे रूल्स पता है, मेरा एक्सपीरियंस भी बहुत अच्छा है, मेरा ये फलाना जो सीईओ है वो कुछ समझता ही नहीं है. So what I do, I force myself upon him. I start dictating him. जैसे मैं बता रहा हूं वैसे ही करना है. And you get into aggressive behavior. थर्ड पोजीशन, जहां पर यू आर ओके, आई एम नॉट ओके, जहां पर लीडर का सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस अगर शेकी है, सो ही माइट एंगेज इनटू लेजेस फेयर लीडरशिप. करने दो इनको जो करना है, अगर कुछ गड़बड़ होगी तो देखी जाएगी. आइदर द लीडर इज अंडर कॉन्फिडेंट और लेजी और डज नॉट वांट टू एंगेज इनटू हिज ट्रू टास्क्स. सो ही वुड लीव अवे, रिमेन पैसिव, बिलीविंग that you are okay, you can handle it. तुम तो बहुत बढ़िया कर रहे हो यार, करते रहो, मेरी कोई जरूरत होगी तो बताना, मैं तो ठीक हूं यहीं. So underlying, it might be either lack of confidence or lack of eagerness to put in efforts. And finally, if you work from the I am also okay, you are also okay position, you would engage into collaborative leadership. जहां पर आप अपने सबॉर्डिनेट्स के साथ, अपने जूनियर लीडर्स के साथ कोलैबोरेट करके आप एक सॉल्यूशन की तरफ आगे बढ़ेंगे. Any questions about this model? And then we'll quickly close. So this is only a framework and I will suggest, अगर आप ये बुक पढ़ सकें, बहुत easy read है, I am okay, you are okay, बहुत fun read है. हमें काफी इंसाइट देती है हम कहाँ से ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं, एंड एज लीडर्स सिटिंग ऑन अ पोजिशन where our behavior has many consequences. It affects so many lives. It brings in so many changes. It always helps to have some insight into our own behavior. There are many frameworks available. This is one of the framework which is easy to understand and which is easy to apply. So this is it from my side. Next slide, please. So this is the utility of this framework. You can emerge as a better leader. We talked about conflict management styles and emergence as a better leader, as a more effective leader. This framework is useful. So what we have discussed today is the uniqueness of the operational environment in LIC areas and how a transformational leader who engages more with the subordinates, collaborates more, treats the subordinates as partners to arrive at solutions, does not engage in micromanagement, rather delegates responsibility truly, is the way to go. Your questions we can discuss. Any comments are most welcome, sir. This is it from my side. Thank you. Any questions and comments are welcome, sir.
Yes. So participants, if we have any questions, we can ask Dr. Swati now. Or if you want to direct some questions later, you can let me know and I can share them with Dr. Swati, if that's okay with you, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. All right. So thank you so much, Dr. Swati, for your time and for taking the participants through, the insights of leadership in low intensity conflict environment. Thank you so much. And we will end the day here. Yeah, ma'am, you are saying something?
Yeah, I was just saying thank you to all the participants for the patient hearing, and I hope I made some sense. The psychology part is a bit different from what you are used to listen to, but I have tried to simplify it and make it easy to gulp for you. I hope you'll think about it a little bit, and I'm sure I have seen it working. So if you give a thought to it, it'll bring in some changes within you also.
Actually, madam, it is a very complex subject and very less time is given to it. And normally a person, he devotes time thinking about these things. Then only after dwelling so much when we are alone in our own bed or any place and thinking about these topics, then
Absolutely.
only we can go
Right,
in
right,
depth of
right,
the particular things.
right, right.
And thank you.
So,
And
sir,
thank
in
you.
that case, I'll request, please, if you can spare some time, read this book. I am okay, you are okay. It's a good read. It's not an academic read. It's a good
Yes.
read.
Thank you,
Right, sir?
madam.
Thank you so much, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Swati. Thank you so much.
Right, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
Tanvi.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. So, sir, as we come to the end of day 2 with this, I have shared the feedback link for your feedback, and it is very valuable to us to improve, to constantly improve the sessions. Please share it with us, and you can share it with us through this chat box, or I will also share it with you on the WhatsApp group. So before we end, I would also, share one thing about tomorrow's agenda. So we share, sir, we click a photograph, a virtual photograph, all of our batches, of DIGs here. And although we are virtually connected and only some part of our faces are visible, but we do click a picture and we share a hard copy with you post the session. So we'll do that tomorrow, sir, and so that everyone can be present, all 29 DIGs can be present. We'll do that in the first tea break at 11:15. So we'll do it at that time. I request you to share it with your colleagues as well if some of you are disconnected, and we'll also share it on the WhatsApp group, but request all to be on camera at 11:15 a.m. and we'll click a virtual photograph. Right, sir? That's all from our side. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. Thank you. Good night, sir. Have a great rest of the day. Good night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.